From the end of November to the beginning of December, I have watched 56 Disney movies and my mind is fried. As most of you know, this year is the studio's 100th anniversary and I've decided to put together this long video where I rank every single Disney movie. Honestly, watching the entire lineup of films front and back was really fun and I'm excited to share my thoughts on all these movies. What I'm gonna say is not the definitive opinion or ranking, it's just my own personal opinion and where I would put these movies if I was ranking them. So there may be a movie you love that I don't like at all or vice versa. Okay, so let's go over the basics. I'm only talking about Walt Disney Animation Studio films, the main studio. So you're not going to see the direct-to-DVD movies like all the Tinkerbell sequels, Winnie the Pooh sequels, or a Goofy movie. That's Disney Toon Studios, not Walt Disney Animation Studios. But the Goofy movie is so great, I did a review on that, and in that review, I said if it was a part of the main studio, I would rank it in 6th place. There won't be any Pixar movies on this list because that's Pixar and I already ranked those movies. This is just Walt Disney Animation Studio movies. Last and most importantly, we are doing this in order of release date, but also by eras. So if you don't know, many people have divided the Disney movies by eras. Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, aka the Dark Ages, the Renaissance, post-Renaissance, and what we're currently on, which is the Revival era. That's 56 films, but technically, they have 62 movies. There was the package era, where in World War II, to save money, Walt Disney released 6 movies that were mostly anthology films, just packaged together. I'm not gonna be talking about those, but if some of y'all really want me to talk about the package films, I mean, I guess I'll do it in the future, I don't know. Okay, it's time to start this thing. We got 56 movies, so get your popcorn, get the pickle soda pop out, and sit back as I rank every Disney movie, starting from the beginning. Alright, here we go. Snow White, without a doubt the most important animated theatrical film ever made, because it was the first animated theatrical film ever made. This is the film that truly started the wavelength of animation in cinemas. Name your favorite animated movie out loud right now. I'll give you 3 seconds. That movie you just said? There wouldn't be that movie without this movie.
Oh, mamacita! Yo, sweet cakes! Oh, nice packaging! How about some chocolate frosting?
And I love this movie. This movie's animation still holds up today. The characters move so fluidly, so gracefully, they have weight to them and interact with everything like they would in real life. Snow White looks a little creepy, I'm not gonna lie, but that's okay, this was 1937. At this time, I'm sure this blew people's socks off. Every single inch of this animated movie, from the characters to the backgrounds. The scene where Snow White runs through the woods apparently caused tons of children to pee themselves. The craftsmanship in this animation should be held as some of the best of all in cinema, but more importantly, the most influential. You can easily tell the animators put a lot of hard work, but had a blast doing this. Okay, enough is enough. Let's talk about why this movie sucks. The pacing is atrocious. In the middle of the movie, Snow White spends 7 minutes cleaning the dwarves' house. The dwarves come to the house and spend 7 minutes trying to see who's in the house. This is then followed by a 7-minute scene of them washing their hands for dinner. So much of this movie feels like a loss of time that could have gone to giving the evil queen more character, or even the prince, most definitely Snow White, because she's kind of bland. But you got the dwarves who sing hi-ho, that is so iconic, and the dwarves themselves are so fun to watch. But I can't really stay mad at this movie with all of its flaws that I have, because I respect it so much. Some of my favorite animated movies owe so much to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You don't know what my favorite Disney movie is, and you'll find out at the end of the ranking, but my favorite Disney movie of all time owes a lot to this film. While it's very flawed, it should still be considered in high regard in the world of animation. I may not love it, but I sure as hell respect it so much.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Pinocchio is about a wooden boy who comes to life by a fairy. With his conscience Jiminy Cricket, he must choose the right and wrong paths, and when he lies, his nose grows. If he chooses the right things to do, he will become a real boy. There's a lot I have to say about Disney's Pinocchio. Many critics state this to be Disney's masterpiece. I wholeheartedly agree. And then there's my friends who told me I'm stupid for having this in the top of my list, and I wholeheartedly 100% without a doubt disagree. When I think about Disney today, I think of how corporate it's all become.
We've got to have money.
Unnecessary remakes that strip the charm of the original movies, sequels to movies that never needed sequels, buying every studio imaginable to become the biggest empire in Hollywood. But when I think of the time before that, I remember how magical Disney used to be, and how it still can be. Something about Pinocchio is so unapologetically magical, so dreamlike that I can't explain it. The movie is the pure definition of a slow burner. In fact, it takes the movie 26 minutes for Pinocchio to get out of the house. That is my only gripe with this movie, but once he reaches outside, the rules are off the table. Anything can happen and will happen. You don't know what trials will test them to decide right from wrong. The best movies are the ones that are unpredictable. When I watch Snow White, I know evil will be defeated. I know when watching Pinocchio he will eventually become a real boy, but I don't know how. The paths this movie takes is so unpredictable, and it keeps you on your toes all the way until the end. Once Pinocchio goes off to school, he runs into a cat and a fox named Honest John. Why are there talking animals walking amongst these humans? It doesn't matter whatsoever. They get him to be a part of a show to impress the audience because he's a puppet who can move freely with no strings attached. Next thing you know, he finds out when he lies his nose grows in one of the most iconic scenes in animation history. What happens after that? What do you think happens after that? He ends up smoking one with the boys on Pleasure Island, but oh no, the boys are jerks and they turn into donkeys in a truly terrifying scene.
Call anybody! Mama!
Then what happens after that? Well, Pinocchio has to go look for his dad because he's been swallowed by Monstro the whale. All of these events seem loosely stitched together, but it makes sense because it shows that anything in life can be thrown at you. It may not be the most cohesive, but is life cohesive? Not at all, which goes into the overall theme that no matter how bizarre the world can get, you need to choose from right and wrong, something Pinocchio struggles with because he was literally just born. I mean, this movie encaptures the magical mind of Walt Disney so much and even introduces the main theme of the studio, When You Wish Upon a Star. Pinocchio is scary, it's unpredictable, charming, funny, and truly is the pinnacle of how magical and wondrous Walt Disney can make a movie. And I think that's my favorite thing about the movies that are near the very top of the list. They feel magical to watch, like you're watching pure magic unfold right in front of you. Out of any classic Disney movie, this is the most magical. Well, it only took 3 movies in and I'm already at a loss of words at what to say for a movie. This isn't a bad thing whatsoever, it's just, I really don't know how to approach Fantasia. If you don't know, Fantasia is the most unique Disney film of all time. It came out in 1940 and was considered a masterpiece because it did something that hadn't been done before. Truly combined orchestral music with animated segments to match, but this time on a different caliber. When this came out, it was critically acclaimed because Walt did something entirely new in the field of animation and music. And it's really crazy because this was his 3rd film and his animation team was just starting to get going in the theatrical animation world. So it's definitely his most ambitious and admittedly his most pretentious film. It's the most artistic, the most abstract. It's him saying, look what I can do with animation and music and be mesmerized, bitch. As a 23-year-old in 2023, I wasn't around when this movie came out, obviously. I wasn't there at the dawn of theatrical animated films. So I truly had to mentally transport myself back to the 1940s to try and appreciate what audience saw in this Technicolor marvel. I see why people will love this, but for me, it was just okay. The animation is the best so far. The music is absolutely perfect. It's classical music, so of course it sounds grandiose, but the animation that goes along with certain beats and soaring music is extravagant. The movie really excels in its absolute best segment, the Mickey Mouse Sorcerer segment. It tells a brilliant story about an apprentice that yearns to be as marvelous as his master. The colors used here, like for the stars, is so gorgeous to look at. One of the best scenes in animation history. And honestly, I keep rewatching this segment because it's that good.
My congratulations, sir.
Congratulations to you, Mickey.
Gee, thanks. Well, so long. I'll be seeing you.
Also, the Bald Mountain segment with the devil is great too. I can see why this gave children nightmares, and I'll admit, seeing how big this creature is and how it dawns over everything, it truly is kinda horrifying. The other segments don't hold a candle to these two. The music is perfect, yes, but the stories that go along with it either drag or just aren't memorable at all. The Centaur one is one of the most boring. Now, I really want to talk about this. Before some of these Disney movies, if you watch them on Disney Plus, they put a disclaimer saying some racist things are on here that aren't appropriate, but they want to keep it there so they can learn from their mistakes. But there's a part in the movie that doesn't play on Disney Plus. It's this scene with the centaurs, and this character was cut. I was expecting Disney to put this in, but of course they wouldn't. They didn't have the balls to do this. Fantasia is just fine. I respect it more than I love it. So basically my main point is, Fantasia is not one of the best singers of the 2000s. I'm sorry, y'all.
Well, I done seen about everything, but I sure enough ain't seen your boy no how.
Ah, that's good old-fashioned family racism.
Dumbo is about Dumbo, an elephant born with big ears in the circus. I'm here to declare Dumbo as the most tragic character in all of Disney. It's so sad seeing him get constantly berated by every character in the movie for 57 minutes out of the 63-minute runtime. All except Timothy Mouse and his mother, who accept him with open arms. He's such an adorable character, and whenever he gets shut and roasted, it's genuinely the most heartbreaking thing. Like, I get it. With Stitch, he looked a little creepy, but like, look at how cute Dumbo is. So the more he gets thrown down by society, the more you feel bad for the guy, until his triumph at the end of the movie. The only real complaints I have is sometimes the story is just a little too thin. The pink elephant scene is without a doubt the most memorable part of the movie. Does it really add to the overarching story? Not that much, other than to set up the scene with the crows, who are obviously black guys. But it feels like Walt did a line of coke and said, "Okay fellas, I want the most trippiest scene of all time, put this in the movie." Also, as a black man, this lyric really bothered me just a little. The music is okay, nothing really to latch onto, but the lullaby song by the mother is really sweet. Overall, Dumbo is just fine. Bambi is like a rough draft of The Lion King. I know this came out way before it, but still. Bambi is about the coming-of-age story of the young Prince Bambi as he journeys through his life in the woods. Some of the visuals here are absolutely remarkable for old Disney. The backgrounds look like a delicate painting, the animation on how the animals move are extremely fluid, especially when Bambi is learning how to walk. The main takeaway here is a scene where Bambi's mother is shot, which before The Lion King was Disney's most tragic moment. Revisiting it, I'm gonna be honest, it was heartbreaking but not as sad as I thought it was gonna be, especially not when the next scene is literally this. The voice acting for the kids' versions of the characters are so adorable, and it causes the lines to be heartwarming and sweet. However, the main problem I have about the movie is it feels like a bunch of filler in places. I know it's a coming-of-age story where moments are supposed to drag to emphasize on how much Bambi has matured, but some scenes drag on a while, especially the spring scene. Is he checking off or something? Bambi is beautifully animated with some of Disney's best hand-drawn visuals, but it's lacking a little in the story department. Still, it's a very enjoyable coming-of-age story. And that was the Golden Age. Honestly, while most of the movies in this era will be spread out near the middle of the list, I gotta say I love watching every one of these despite the moments where they drag. You gotta think that back then, people didn't have a lot of options on animated movies, so when they saw a Disney movie, it was special. And despite the bad moments, it felt special watching this era. After this was the package era, and you know, I'm skipping that, so really the next era is the Silver Age. Let's have a look. Controversial opinion incoming. I'm not even going to lie, Cinderella was so hard to sit through. Cinderella is about Cinderella, who lives with her wicked stepmother and her two asshole stepsisters. She constantly slaves away and is treated like trash, but she has a chance to go to the ball and fall in love with the prince. Sounds like a pretty decent plot. It's just a shame that almost over half of the movie is dedicated with a group of mice being chased by Lucifer the cat, and it just feels like a Tom and Jerry ripoff. If I wanted to watch Tom and Jerry, I would have just put that on.
Why, how to do, Mr. Tom? Hurry up, honey child. Land sing.
Not that episode though. The story doesn't really get started until 30 minutes in, and it's frustrating. Whenever the mice stuff happens, the movie literally feels like it freezes time, and it causes the 75-minute movie to feel like over 2 hours long. Whenever it focuses on Cinderella, it's sweet and stuff, but so much of the movie is just filler and causes the pacing to crumble any of the movie's good merits. It's not an awful movie, not at all, but in my opinion, it's definitely mediocre. At least Cinderella is a better princess than Snow White.
And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die.
Alice in Wonderland is about Alice who falls asleep and ends up in Wonderland, just a wacky place. I should have been high on acid or something to fully appreciate the craziness of this movie. The animation is marvelous, with every weird place she visits is a treat to look at. The story, however, just has her visiting one part of Wonderland to another, which is totally fine. If that's the story, then that's the story. But some of the segments are very hit or miss, especially in the beginning. The animation is getting better and Alice is a very likable character. I did slightly enjoy this more than Cinderella because there wasn't a lot of padding out. The second and third act of the movie is when it really starts to get good, but that first half is such a slog to get through. I hate that everyone loves Cinderella and Alice in Wonderland and I'm just sitting here thinking that it's okay. But I'll say this, I'll take watching the movie than playing the movie in Kingdom Hearts any day of the week.
Look at me, I'm Peter Pan, Shamona. I'm a little boy forever. Hey!
Peter Pan was released in 1953. Even more than 6 decades later, the animation still holds up. My favorite thing about revisiting Disney movies from the days where gas cost $0.25 and... Wait, actually, I want to look that up. Wait, it actually costs 27 cents? Peter Pan is about 3 kids, Wendy, Michael, and John, who get taken to Neverland by Peter Pan, where kids never grow up. The animation is remarkable, especially whenever the kids and Peter Pan take flight. Pixie dust scattered through the air as they try and get a hang of it all in the light blue London night sky. The landscape of the entirety of Neverland is vibrant. The costumes of the Lost Boys are adorable, and I like the unnamed pirates having different color schemes. Even the smallest things like clothes help the world of Neverland feel alive and whimsical. Captain Hook is an underrated Disney villain. He's hilarious, but also has some threatening aspects to him. Even my boy Smee, who looks like the most goofy Disney villain sidekick of all time, has some edge to him.
But Captain, wouldn't it be more humane-like to slit his throat?
Every single portion with Smee and Hook is hilarious. I also forgot how jealous Tinkerbell is as a character, but it works in the character's favor. But what about the main man himself, the legend, Peter Pan?
Name is Wendy. Wendy Mora Angela Dodd.
Wendy's enough.
Oh.
He's an asshole. He's an asshole.
Isn't vicious, you know. She's a wonderful nurse. Although Father says...
Girls talk too much.
Yes, girls talk too... Oh.
Well, get on with it, girl. Well, I'm certainly proud of you, you blockheads.
Peter! What about Tiger Lily?
Tiger Lily? Oh, Tiger Lily. Big Chief greets little mother.
Oh.
Ugh.
Oh, Wendy, is that all you have to say? Everyone else thinks I'm wonderful.
If you had the special edition DVD of The Lion King, they added an extra song sung by Zazu, and it's really bad. But I'd rather listen to that than What Makes the Red Man Red, one of the most racist things ever in a Disney movie. It's been said before, but many aspects of this movie haven't aged well, and this is definitely up there. This is actually really disturbing. Overall, Peter Pan is just okay.
We now return to Lady and the Tramp and Michael Vick.
Lady and the Tramp is the romantic tale of a sheltered uptown Cocker Spaniel dog and a streetwise downtown mutt. Honestly, this is one of Disney's best. I had a really good time with this. The relationship between Lady and Tramp is done so well. I really thought that they would constantly bump heads throughout, but no, they actually get along quite easily despite their differences. The scenery here is the best yet, maybe because the film was actually recorded in CinemaScope. The colors are vibrant but never too colorful. The thunderstorm scene looks phenomenal. It uses the right amount of dreary colors while still looking palpable. The animation on the dogs are very nice and fluid, and this is really when Disney's animation starts becoming fantastic. And all the doggies are so cute. Not cuter than my dog, but you know, it's expected. There's a really sad scene in A Pound that honestly got me depressed because the doggies look so sad and miserable. And then it turns out they look sad and were whining on purpose to cover the noise they were making to dig out. So, screw you, Disney, for that. Also, so far, why is every cat an asshole in these Disney movies? You had Lucifer, and now you have these two cats. Also, why is she, kind of thick? Oh god, another princess movie. Okay, let's hope this one's better than Cinderella. After being snubbed by the royal family, an evil fairy places a curse on a princess which only a prince can break, along with the help of 3 good fairies. Sleeping Beauty is pretty decent, but there are 2 major things that causes this to stick out. So far, this is Disney's best animation yet. It is so good. The colors are vibrant and they are mixed together well without clashing. The backgrounds really stick out here. It causes all the set pieces and locations to be memorable and a joy to look at. The castle where Maleficent resides is so rugged, but the woods Aurora walks through is so cozy and just looks so fantastic. It blends in well with the already fluid human animation. Maleficent is in this film, and by God, she is a menace. I'm really happy we have a movie where it doesn't go into some lame backstory that tries to make you sympathize with her and the evil animal sidekick. Oh wait, she steals the show whenever she's on screen. No wonder why Disney made not only 1, but 2 movies about her. Props to Eleanor Audley, who brings vicious life into one of Disney's best villains.
Now shall you deal with me, O Prince, and all the powers of hell!
I really enjoy the fairies and their bickering. All 3 of their interactions are a lot of fun. The use of magic they have is exceptionally entertaining. The story may not be amazing, but it was Disney's most epic and ambitious movie up until this point. It was also Disney's most expensive film. You know this final battle cost Walt some money out of his racist pocket. Sleeping Beauty is a good time with a scary villain and some of their best hand-drawn visuals when it comes to movement and backgrounds.
Come on, puppies, you're gonna have nightmares.
101 Dalmatians is about a Dalmatian named Pongo who has a lot of puppies with his loved one, but they soon get captured and it's up to them to save them. First things first, Sleeping Beauty did not give Walt the money he needed, so the budget for the next Disney movies have been cut down. The characters in this movie look fine, but they look rough, especially when it comes to their outlines. No longer does the animation look extremely refined, but now it just looks a little harsh and not in a good way. Sometimes you can see their outlines really become bold, like the animators are still tracing the characters, and it can be very distracting. It doesn't make the movie unwatchable by any means, but watching this after the dazzling animation of Sleeping Beauty causes it to be jarring. You can really tell they cut down on the budget because the house nanny is literally the same model as Sleeping Beauty's fairies. The movie is actually quite charming, especially in the beginning. It's a slow burn, but it's sweet. It's really heartwarming watching Pongo trying to get his owner to go after this girl he thinks will be right for him. I did get quite a kick at seeing all the different humans looking just like their dogs. Also like how the dogs call their humans pets. Like, that's a really fun idea. Once the puppies get kidnapped, the movie kind of falls on itself, especially with a drawn out scene between dogs talking to other dogs across the city. It's about 7 minutes long in length and feels like filler. So what we know about Walt is he has mom issues, he loves filler, and is racist. Triple threat right there. Cruella de Vil is another good Disney villain because she wants to skin puppies to make coats. Oh my god, that is really twisted. I'm so happy Cruella de Vil doesn't get a backstory movie where we have to learn about her own story before she started skinning puppies to make her a sympathizable character. Oh wait, they did that. But it's okay, Emma Stone plays her, and you know I love Emma Stone. I love you, Emma, so much. Jasper and Horace are kinda lame compared to her though. Despite the story falling flat after the puppies get kidnapped, most of its charm stays throughout the film. It's not one of Disney's best, but it is a harmless good time. Alright, Disney's final movie he ever got to see through into the finishing stages. Surely it has to be a banger. This is the worst movie yet. Without a doubt. The Sword in the Stone is about Wart, a young boy who learns lessons with the sorcerer Merlin. It's such a nothing of a movie. The animation this time looks even rougher than 101 Dalmatians. The only time the film is visually appealing is whenever Merlin and Wart changes into different animals, but the visual interest only lasts for those scenes for like 1 minute. It's just rinse, cycle, and repeat. Merlin and Wart turn into an animal so Wart can learn a lesson up until the end of the film where Wart pulls the sword in the stone. Guess how many minutes in the titular sword in the stone show up at? In the final 10 minutes. I haven't seen something be thrown in last minute since The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Also, there's a villain that shows up in the final 20 minutes, but to be fair, it makes way for a very fun fight with Merlin and Mims where they turn into a plethora of animals to battle. The funniest thing about this movie is the voice acting. Carl Swinson gives it his all as Merlin, is one of the best vocal performances of any Disney movies, but Wart? So, let me tell you about Wart. The original actor went through puberty during the movie, so they switched actors. Twice. So throughout the movie, Wart's voice changes throughout scenes. Sometimes his voice changes in the exact same scene. It's distracting but absolutely hilarious, but not in a good way.
You mean you can turn yourself into a fish? It's not that. It's just that I've got 6 demerits. All this work to do.
The Sword in the Stone is going at the bottom of the list. Sorry, Walt. Rest in peace, man.
Walt Disney is dead tonight at the age of 65.
Had undergone surgery last month for removal of part of his left lung after his
4 Emmys, the Irving Thalberg Award,
Walt Disney, Hollywood's Prince of Fantasy.
Walt Disney's death was front page news the next day.
Walt Disney has sadly passed away. Disney Studio needs a hit, and if this movie isn't a hit, the studio will go bankrupt. Considering the studio is still alive, let's just say that this movie kinda saved the day. The Jungle Book is about Mowgli, who is escorted by Bagheera, a panther, and Baloo, a bear, back to his man village. Off the bat, I gotta say this. If you've been on this channel long enough and have seen my reviews of Disney remakes, you'll always hear me state that Disney's best remake is The Jungle Book. I really do need to make a video about the 2016 version, but how is this one? It's actually good. The animation is greatly improved from Sword in the Stone, especially in the background department. The jungle feels so alive and grand. It really feels like this big open environment that the animators have painted for us. Most of the movie is Mowgli jumping from animal to animal to animal, and while that does sound stale, the actual characters help this stay entertaining throughout. You got Kaa, the snake who sounds just like Winnie the Pooh and can hypnotize. I really love how colorful his eyes get here.
Look me in the eye when I'm speaking to you.
Please, Kaa.
Both eyes, if you please.
Shere Khan isn't the best Disney villain, but his presence is definitely known. King Louie has a very upbeat and catchy musical number. The elephants are just kinda okay, but then there's my boy Baloo, the best character in this movie and one of Disney's best of all time. He's just a laid-back bear with a chill voice who you would love to hang out with. He really steals the show. It's all thanks to Phil Harris and his timeless performance. Thank you for being in this one and only Disney movie. I will never forget you, Phil. Even though this movie is super old, I won't spoil the ending, but the ending is really well done. It's probably my favorite ending to a Disney movie so far. But come on, this thing came out in the 60s, you gotta at least see it for the bare necessity. Do I think the original Jungle Book is better than the remake? Not at all, because that one's story is so rich, and I promise in the future I will talk about it. But the original is a fun and charming film from beginning to end. The only real downfall is it goes on for a little bit too long.
He's either the man who ruined American culture and brought all of this fakeness into our lives, or he's the man who inspired us and gave us hours and hours of entertainment.
And that was the Silver Age. Honestly, some underwhelming movies on this list. I really wanted to love Cinderella and especially Alice in Wonderland. But hey, we got Lady and the Tramp and Sleeping Beauty. Even though we're heading to more of that sketchy animation style, the qualities of the films were good. Okay, except for that one. But who cares about animation if the writing and story is good? Remember Hoodwinked? That movie looked god awful, but man, is it funny.
Wow, that's nice and bright. What kind of candles are those?
Must be Italian.
With the death of Walt Disney, though, we are now entering the Bronze Age, which is also known as the Dark Ages, where not a lot of the films were box office hits, and the studio was trying to find the magic that Walt guided them with. Let's look at it.
what's the story? This butler finds that he's gonna inherit a bunch of cats. And it turns out he hates cats. He's allergic to them and can't stand them.
Aristocats is about Duchess and her 3 kittens who get kidnapped by Edgar, a butler who is told that the cats will inherit their owner's fortune. He kidnaps them and puts them in the country so he can get the money himself. Hey, Nostalgia Critic, did you hear that? I actually got the plot right.
And it turns out he hates cats. He's allergic to them and can't stand them.
This movie is boring, like really boring. The animation here is really rough this time around. I can't even say it's visually appealing. I know we're in the sketchy animation era of Disney films, but sometimes it looks absolutely ridiculous, especially in this movie. Except for the Everybody Wants to Be a Cat song. It's lively and, oh Jesus Christ, that was actually really bad. Bro had the chopsticks and everything. The 3 kittens are cute, but aren't really memorable. In fact, none of the characters are memorable, except for Tom O'Malley. He's just this really cool cat with a chill voice that you would love to hang out with. Wait, is that Phil Harris again? Alright Phil, you're the best part again, but don't make this a normal habit. Aristocats, more like Aristocrats. It's still better than The Sword in the Stone.
Oh merry man!
What do you know, a better movie than Aristocat, and it happens to be Disney's first anthropomorphic animal film. Oh, you don't know what that means. Okay, so basically it's like animals with clothes and they have human characteristics. You still don't know what the... Okay, it's basically Disney's first furry movie. Now you understand. Robin Hood tells the classic story, but this time in the animal kingdom. The animation actually here is very good. For the first anthropomorphic animal film, the movements on the animals are impressively fluid and the facial expressions are some of the best. But for some reason, I'm starting to get deja vu. And I don't know why. Huh. Weird. Anyways, the thing that really carries the movie is the characters. They're all so likable, especially this bear Little John, who kind of looks like Baloo. He's just this chill, laid-back guy with a cool... Ah, damn it, that's Phil Harris. Prince John is the villain and he's not that threatening, but I really love how petty he is. It's pretty funny. When he doesn't get his way, he triples the taxes and just throws everyone in the slammer. Robin Hood is also a charming protagonist and you root for him throughout the entire film. The best part about this movie is there's no filler, and I think Disney is finally getting away from that around this time. Robin Hood isn't perfect. Some scenes drag a bit, but the colorful cast of characters causes this to be one of Disney's best.
Wait for my signal. Take him out.
We'll have a little nausea for a few hours, then it'll be fine.
Okay, so I'm a little biased here. The characters of Winnie the Pooh are some of my favorite Disney characters. They're also likable and memorable. The suicidal Eeyore, the scared piglet, the asshole rabbit, the crazy Tigger, and of course the diabetic lovable bear Pooh himself. They're also fun to watch, and seeing them interact with each other is so much fun. So despite this being made for a younger audience, I genuinely like this one quite a bit. I know earlier I said I wasn't going to do any of the anthology films, and this movie is just 3 Winnie the Pooh shorts put into one film, but come on, it's Winnie the Diabetic Pooh. I gotta talk about it. The first short is about Winnie the Pooh eating tons of honey, of course, and winding up stuck in Rabbit's home.
Perhaps you should push with your shoulder and not your fist. Don't worry about it.
The other is about a windstorm knocking down Owl's house, and Pooh and Piglet try and find him a new home, but the weather keeps interrupting their plans. And the final one is about Tigger and how his pouncing gets on everyone's nerves. Since this is all just 3 shorts stitched into a motion picture, the story is not all that cohesive, but since the characters are so memorable, it doesn't ruin the movie. One of my favorite moments in the short story is how the narrator interacts with the characters. It's a neat subversion from the other Disney movies. He'll mention that Pooh's butt is stuck in Rabbit's hole at page 28, and his head is all the way on page 30. It's cute, and I really like that. My favorite short is probably the one dealing with Tigger, because he's the best Winnie the Pooh character.
You do a rain dance when you want rain, so you do a grow dance when you want something to grow.
Despite not being a real cohesive story, the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh is very entertaining and enjoyable. Sorry, I was asleep because of something else, not because this movie was boring. The Rescuers are about 2 mice who try and save a little girl after she's abducted. So one thing you need to know is during all of these movies so far, the credits are at the start of the film. You have to read all the names of everyone who worked on the movie, which is fine. Usually music is played during the opening credits, and I have to reward Rescuers for having the best music for the opening credits yet. It's a beautiful yet saddening song that's sung from a girl who wants to be rescued. The oil painting visuals also fit well with the lovely music. That is the highest praise I can give this movie. And that is the only praise I can give this movie. Oh my god. This movie was a slog to get through. The main mice, who I don't even remember the names of, are extremely boring characters. At least with most of these Disney movies that I found somewhat boring, the characters were interesting. Even the villain here is boring, and the side characters. Combine that with the by the numbers mystery, there's nothing really at all to this movie. Thank God there's not a sequel to this movie. I could not bear to watch one of these. For some reason, this movie did very well at the box office. It came out in 1977, and all I gotta say is, I'd rather be at the premiere of the first Star Wars. Shit, I'd rather be watching the Emoji Movie. Okay, too far. That's too far.
You're killing it, Jane! Slay!
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, you're crying all the time.
The Fox and the Hound is about a fox and a hound who become best friends at a young age, but they are destined to be enemies as they grow older. The simplicity of the story really excels this movie into being very good. It's just a simple story about a fox and a hound becoming friends despite coming from two different worlds. Todd the Fox lives with a woman, and Copper the Hound lives with an older dog named Chief and a hunter. Hounds are usually known to be hunting dogs, so it's very obvious that the two's friendship would have problems later down the line. Todd and Copper's friendship is the main anchor of this movie, and it carries some of the film's problems a lot. They are so sweet to one another, and there's a montage that plays where cheery music is playing as they do hide and seek and chase each other. It's absolutely cheesy, but it works so well. So when they do split up their friendship when Copper comes back from training, it really is quite sad. It gets even worse because Todd's mom decides that he shouldn't live with her anymore and is abandoned in the woods in one of Disney's most upsetting scenes yet. What happened prior to that is Chief gets hit by a train and falls and breaks his leg. In the original cut of the film, he was supposed to be killed, and I really wish they had kept that because it would have given Copper even more resentment to Todd. Look, I know the main audience is children, but Disney, if kids could handle the tragedy of hearing Wart's voice change over and over again, I'm sure they could handle a dog dying. Come on, man. I'm sorry, I really hate Sword and Stone. The final action scene with Copper versus Todd versus the bear has some of the best Disney animation yet. It's really fluid animation for how fast the animals move as they dart away or go in for a quick attack. Also, Copper is voiced by Kurt Russell, which is exciting for me for two reasons. This means we're finally getting close to the Disney movies I truly grew up with. And reason two is because this next movie, ooh, this one is important. Oh, calm down. The drum rolls don't mean this is the best movie, not at all. The Black Cauldron was my most anticipated film to watch on this list. Without this video, I was never going to willingly watch it. When I decided to rank every Walt Disney Animation Studio movie and saw Black Cauldron was on the list, I got excited. Black Cauldron is one of the most important movies in the studio's history, yet you've never heard of it. It is such a significant film, yet it's never really mentioned by the studio. The Black Cauldron is loosely based on the first two books of the series called Chronicles of Pryden. The movie is about some magical pig or something, I don't know. Okay, fine, I'll actually tell you the plot from Wikipedia, but I'm going to try not to butcher the names of all the characters because some of these names are kinda stupid. Set in the mythical land of Pryden during the early Middle Ages, the film centers on a wicked emperor known as the Horned King, who hopes to secure an ancient magical cauldron that will aid him in his desire to conquer the world. He is opposed by a young swine herder, Taran, the young princess Eleanor, or something, I don't know, the harp-playing bard Flefleb, and a friendly wild creature named Gurgi, who seek to destroy the cauldron to prevent the Horned King from ruling the world. You see, the reason the Black Cauldron is so forgotten is Disney tried to market to the fantasy-loving people because it was popular during the time, and it failed miserably. At the time, this was the most expensive animated film ever made. It didn't make any of its budget back and almost nearly put the entire studio in bankruptcy. Now, I will say this, it definitely looks like the most expensive animated film of that time, because I hereby declare the Black Cauldron to be one of the best looking animation in their hand-drawn films. Other movies will obviously take over this achievement, but oh my god, this movie looks incredible. The movements of the character are so lifelike, so fluid and mesmerizing. The setting is grandiose and feels fully realized. The hair on the characters move with such grace that it makes it feel realistic even though this is hand-drawn. This is also the first film in Disney history to use CGI in some shots, meaning that we are really close to the modern age on the list of films. So many gorgeous shots that are just pure eye candy. I really love the design of the antagonist, the Horned King. If you are a fan of animation and appreciate the craftsmanship of this film, then I highly recommend watching this movie. Now, if you're a fan of good storytelling, great writing, memorable characters, then don't watch this movie. This movie is dark, very dark for Disney. In fact, this is the first Disney film to be rated PG. This whole movie is a gamble and they lost, but it sucks because I see the potential. Parents stormed out of theaters wanting the coziness on the level of Winnie the Pooh, but instead was treated with a story about raising the dead and medieval characters fighting to save the world. The movie being dark has nothing to do with the quality of the film. I fully embrace that Disney wanted to do something bold and different. It's just that the writing and story and characters are all so bland. Literally, one of the characters is a princess. Her name is Princess Bababa. So where is she in the line of princesses? Disney is so ashamed by this movie, she'll never be able to live it up with Jasmine and Mulan. Tragic. As the story continues, the movie gets more bland and bland. None of the characters have any lasting power, and the story is just generic. It truly sucks because watching this, I see the potential. So here's what could have happened. I truly believe that if you made the story more unique, created better characters, get rid of this guy, then this movie could have easily been one of Disney's best films of all time. If you love animation, give it a watch, but all the other good elements that cause this movie to be a movie, well, you could just forget it. I'm so sorry, you guys. That last one took a lot out of me. The Great Mouse Detective is about Bazille, a mouse detective who agrees to help a girl find her father. I hate to say this to whoever's all-time favorite Disney movie this is, but I just don't have a lot to say. It's just a decent caper. Bazille is a really fun protagonist to watch, him just being a mouse version of Sherlock Holmes. In fact, he lives in Sherlock's house. The villain is absolutely underrated and overlooked. I really liked him. Overall, it's just a decent movie. I have the perfect way to watch this movie. One of Disney's most underrated songs is in this movie. In fact, it might be Disney's most underrated. Why Should I Worry is such a jam. Billy Joel plays Dodger, this really cool dog who you would love to hang out with. I mean, look at this guy. He's cool as hell. The opening song will get stuck in your head for days. Y'all guys just don't get it. Y'all don't understand how phenomenal this song is. It is amazing. He says, why should I worry? Why should I care? Like, come on, bro. And then this part right here where the girls go, everything goes, everything fits. And then he says he loves me at my cheese and staying near me at my wrist. Oh, I mean, just please listen to the song. Please, I'm begging you. So the perfect way to watch this movie is to skip to 5 minutes in, watch Dodger sing this infectious song, skip the entire movie into the last 5 minutes where they sing it again, then turn your TV off, and then you got one of the best Disney movies. This sucks because I really wanted to like this. This story, while a Disney version of the classic Oliver Twist tale, is executed well here. The characters stopped us from being interesting though. You can tell by the end when all the characters are singing that you're supposed to have loved all these characters, but I just don't. Oliver gets no character at all, but is rather a plot device. His company, which is the other dogs, are a mixed bag. They're all likable, but most of them are just boring. I don't remember this dog. This dog was boring. Dodger is just a cool dude, of course, I remember him. And then there's Tito, the Hispanic stereotype who is absolutely annoying. I guess the only thing to truly mention is there's becoming more CGI shots in this movie, which absolutely showcases that technology is improving. But again, the song. You gotta listen to the song. Well, that was interesting. This age was the exact perfect definition of a mixed bag. 4 movies I liked, 4 movies I disliked. Disney was scrambling to see what they needed to do to get back in their groove. And man, after this era, it got really good. The Little Mermaid is about Ariel, a mermaid who wants to discover the shore and the world not tied down to the sea. She falls in love with the prince and must get him to fall in love with her in 3 days or she'll belong to the Witch of the Sea, Ursula, who takes her voice. Jodie Benson as Ariel is top tier voice acting in any Disney movie, especially when it comes to her singing, so I'm just gonna go right ahead and say it. There are over 500 Disney songs. Some are good, some are amazing, some are bad, some are racist, but then there's that one. Part of Your World is the best Disney song to me for so many reasons, to the point I can make a whole separate video about it. Disney does this thing where the main characters sing their ambitions and goals in the form of a song. It's called the I Want song. The first one was I'm Wishing from Snow White. You got After Today from the Goofy movie. Really underrated movie, by the way. How Far I'll Go from Moana. When Will My Life Begin from Tangled. But there's something special about Part of Your World. It's the fact that for the most part, the Disney protagonists can find a way to reach their goal. Rapunzel. Rapunzel was just too scared to sneak out. Max was scared to talk to a girl. Snow White wanted to keep 8 dwarves as her servants. I really don't remember. But Ariel can't make that dream come true of being among the humans. At this part in the story, she hasn't met Ursula yet, so mentally all she knows is she can be up there for 5 seconds before she dies. Jodie Benson's vocal performance is spot on, with her pleading of desperation to be with people like us. As the song goes on longer and longer, her voice becomes louder, yearning to make that dream come true. Usually with these I Want songs, the characters run around in a big open environment. It's beautiful for sure. However, the fact that Ariel is secluded in this really small place surrounded by trinkets she's collected, knowing that that's how close she'll get to the human world, hits hard. It makes the world of the open ocean feel smaller than it definitely is. The cinematography in the scene is gorgeous, and that hand reach she does out of that small opening, God, it's just majestic. How do the other songs hold up? They will get stuck in your head from how catchy they are. From the sinister tune of Ursula's Poor Unfortunate Souls to Sebastian's extremely upbeat musical number Under the Sea, where you can feel the animals of the ocean melody come to life, the only bad song is the one the cook sings while Sebastian tries to escape him. It doesn't slow down the movie, but it definitely is there to pad out the movie's runtime. The movie is 1 hour and 29 minutes, and honestly, I felt like it could have been longer to flesh out a few story elements. I think more time in the surface world could have worked, because while the ocean in the movie is the best setting, some things felt underdeveloped once on land. She turns into a human when the movie has 30 minutes left, meaning about 60% of the runtime is underwater. So while the whole Eric and Ariel romance element is sweet, and the song Kiss the Girl is some of Disney's best, it overall feels slightly rushed. Also, Prince Eric is in the running for the dumbest Disney prince of all time, and the past Disney princes were bland. I'm happy Eric has a personality, but I didn't want it to be dumb. After the shipwreck, he sees Ariel, that gorgeous red hair under the sun-drenched beach. Then when they meet again later, she doesn't have a voice, but he goes,
Oh, then you couldn't be who I thought.
Bitch, not only was Ariel the only girl you've seen in probably a month, but she's also the only redhead in the entire movie. Speaking of which, this is the film that got me introduced to my first crush. As a kid, Ariel was the baddest girl of them all. That redhead thing has stuck with me to this day. If you have red hair, hit me up at Crosby Critic likes redheads.com. The animation for the character movements are so much better than I remember, especially when it comes to the hair. Whenever characters like Ariel or Triton move, the hair looks like it has weight to it. It's no small feat to do that, especially for a hand-drawn movie. The use of shadows for characters like Eric look really nice as well. Ursula turning gigantic at the end is still one of the best ending battles to a Disney movie. The conclusion of it all is just brutal and effective in the best way. I mean, she gets stabbed by a ship. Like, that's badass. I want to give respect to Samuel E. Wright, who passed away about a year ago. I'm not saying this just because he's no longer with us, but because it's true that he kills it as Sebastian. Sebastian is one of the best Disney sidekicks, and I completely forgot how funny he is. Better than Flounder, I have to say. Better looking than him too. The Little Mermaid is one of Disney's best musicals and one of their best works in the company's animated catalog. Thank God there's not a sequel to this movie. I could not bear to watch one of these. The quicker I talk about this is the faster I can get to the next movie, which is an absolute masterpiece. Out of all the movies to be the first Disney sequel, The Rescuers out of all things got one. The most boring movie in the lineup so far. And what do you know? This movie is equally as boring as the first Rescuers. The only thing that makes it slightly better is the improved animation. These characters are just so boring. I don't care about Guy Mouse trying to find the perfect time to propose to Girl Mouse. John Candybird is annoying. This kid is bland. The villain is bland. The villain's sidekick is forgettable. I don't care about these movies, and I was bored to death because of the awful pacing. This movie is 1 hour and 15 minutes long, and it feels like it's 1 hour and 1,000 minutes long. It takes the movie 18 minutes to introduce Guy and Girl Mouse. The two mice don't even get to Australia where the boy is in trouble until the 30-minute mark. They don't meet the boy until the movie has 15 minutes left. The story is constructed poorly, and I almost fell asleep. Dogs find anything entertaining. You can tap your foot once and they'll go crazy. My dog fell asleep to this movie. The movie couldn't keep a dog up. I'm done. I'm done talking about this. I just want an amazing Disney movie, and I think it's coming up. So you guys won't see the overall ranking until the end of the video, but I'll let you guys in a little secret. Pinocchio has been in the #1 spot this entire time, but now it has finally been dethroned. Beauty and the Beast is not just one of Disney's best films, but one of the greatest love stories and movies of all time. Beauty and the Beast is about a prince cursed to spend his days as a hideous monster and sets out to regain his humanity by earning a young woman's love. I know I've talked about the animation on every movie so far, and it may be starting to get annoying, but these movies are animated, so I gotta talk about it. It's the main aspect of most of these films. However, I feel like after this movie we've gotten to the point where animation is going to be so great that I don't really need to go into depth constantly with how beautiful it looks. So with that being said, this is the most gorgeous looking film since the Black Cauldron. The movement of all the human characters moves so fluidly, especially in the musical moments. The colors are bright but never too saturated, and the cinematography is the best so far. The music is the best here in a Disney film yet. Be Our Guest is an eye-popping extravaganza. The opening song shows how lively the whole town is. I remember all the side characters more than any Rescuers character. In the Gaston song, all the characters move so gracefully, so luxuriously, so human that it's dazzling. Then we have the iconic song Beauty and the Beast. The CGI blends in so well with the 2D environment, it never feels jarring, and it makes this ballroom scene feel so much bigger than it has any right to be. It's absolutely iconic, and it's obvious why. Even the instrumental score is the best since Sleeping Beauty. Belle and Beast's relationship builds slowly throughout the movie. It never feels too fast or too slow. The film keeps the steady pace throughout, and it causes it all to be a tightly woven film, where every bit is more intriguing than the last scene as we start from the beginning of the film and we reach the gorgeous climax. I love the design of the Beast. It's the perfect blend of terrifying, so when he walks on all fours it's menacing and quite threatening. The way he growls his lines when he's infuriated is spine-chilling, but when he actually starts trying to flirt with Belle and try to be soft, he's actually quite cool and adorable. His design is the perfect mixture of scary yet charming. Watching him soften out the belt is so affectionate and sweet, like, ugh, I love it. I love all the characters, the music, the story, the animation, the overall joyous romance of the film. This was the first animated film in history to be nominated for Best Picture, and it's clear why. This is the best Disney film so far. There's one thing about Aladdin that is a masterpiece, but I think it's best I save it for last. Aladdin is about a street rat who falls in love with a princess and gets the help from a genie. Aladdin is the first princess movie that truly really focuses on the male hero. Jasmine plays a huge part in the movie, but this is mostly Aladdin's story, and at the time this was really different for the studio. Aladdin is such a chill guy, I'm surprised he's not voiced by Phil Harris. Him and Abu make a great team as one of the best human and animal sidekicks we've had so far. There's something called the liar reveal story, where the main character lies to another character, and once they find out about this, they argue until the very end of the movie. It's a really boring cliche that I hate. Aladdin has this, but it's done in such a different, unique way. In this movie, Aladdin battles with the eternal struggles of if he should keep lying to Jasmine that he is a prince, or that he really is a street rat. It works well because Aladdin is such a likable character. So when he does start to get frustrated with his dilemma, he becomes an asshole to his friends, but literally 7 seconds after, he's like, you know what? I should tell her the truth. I'm glad his character isn't just constantly mean to the world around him for a majority of the film, because it is his fault after all. Once Jasmine does find out the truth, she isn't even mad. It's such a refreshing twist on this liar reveal cliche. Jafar is one of the best Disney villains, and I think it's just because he's so sinister without caring. He's the typical mustache trolling villain, but he's kinda creepy. This man will do anything to get to the throne, even marry Jasmine. And I love how the movie points out how creepy he is.
You will order the princess to marry me.
I will order the princess to... But you're so old.
And Gilbert Gottfried plays Iago, his evil parrot sidekick, and he's so funny. I just love how screechy his voice is and his ramblings he goes on when he's upset at the smallest inconvenience. The music is great. It's equally as good as Beauty and the Beast. A Whole New World is like top 5 Disney songs. One Jump Ahead is one of the most underrated Disney songs, and I probably listen to that one the most out of any song from this movie. Then there's Friend Like Me, which is an absolute showstopper, performed brilliantly by Robin Williams. And finally, I come to the last thing I want to talk about this movie, Genie. Robin Williams. I haven't seen this movie in years, and I know this is held to be one of Robin's best performances, and everyone who says this is 100% right. Let me pull up my thesaurus here so I can describe Robin Williams in this movie. Hold on. Okay. His performance is energetic, zestful, spirited, lively, animated, enthusiastic, passionate, bright, perky, bouncy, bubbly, and just an overall masterpiece of voice acting. Without a doubt, my favorite Disney character so far. The animators had to go through hell animating the Junie because all of Robin Williams' ad-libs, but it absolutely pays off. Robin has such an enthusiastic performance that it's unmatched. It matches well with how magical Genie is, how fast he transforms to an object, a person, or just anything that would call to be funny in a situation. Everything he says has an extra oomph to it. It causes his vocal performance to be one for the ages. He brings so much life to this fake cartoon character that it's truly crazy. I could go on for another 5 minutes on Robin's performance. All I will say is I wish I could call him up and tell him how well he did with this movie. There's a reason he's one of the greats of acting, and the final scene where he says goodbye to Aladdin hits even harder now that he has sadly gone.
Genie, I'm gonna miss you.
Me too, Al. No matter what anybody says, you'll always be a prince to me.
What do you have to say about the movie, Trey?
What the f***, Disney? That was super disappointing. Exact copy. Jungle Book is still the best Disney remake. I'm very disappointed. I'm so disappointed. It was like someone who said, hey, you could copy my homework, but don't try and make it exact. And they almost make it exact except the name.
There's actually a famous list out there called 1001 Movies You Should Watch Before You Die. There is a reason why The Lion King is on that list. In the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, the second one says the right to bear arms. And the third amendment says, if you haven't watched Lion King, do it or you're going to hell. My mom made sure one of the first movies I watched was The Lion King, and when little Crosby Jr. comes along, it'll be her or his first movie, and this is how it should be. I guess I'll just explain the plot of the movie for the one person watching this video who hasn't seen it. And to that one person, don't you ever watch another movie again until you watch this, do you hear me? In the most simplest way to put the plot, Lion Prince Simba and his father are targeted by his bitter uncle who wants to ascend the throne himself. So basically, if you've ever seen Hamlet, it's that movie except with lions in it. As a huge film fan such as myself, I want to make a guesstimate and say I have watched 500 movies. Every single one of them has an opening. Out of all the movies I've seen, this film has the best opening ever put to the eyes of cinema. That beautiful shot of the silhouette landscape being dawned over by the orange sunset. It's such a simple shot, but the animation and the beauty immediately whisk you away into the world of The Lion King. Then the choir comes in, animals of all types traversing through the African plains. The first time you watch this, you're wondering, where the hell are they even going? Then you see the shot of the Pride Rock and you go, ooh, something big is happening. It must be important.
What's that he's holding up? Ah, who cares? It's not important.
Again, I've seen 500 movies all with title card introductions. The Lion King has the best one. Our main character is born, Rafiki the baboon has lifted up the prince, and all the animals just go crazy. No dialogue or explanations are given. The visuals are guiding us through the story. The choir swells its final notes, and then the thud comes. Holy shit, this movie is good. One reason I think The Lion King is so timeless is its roster of characters. Mufasa voiced gracefully by James Earl Jones. He has the voice of a true Lion King, but the softness of a gentle father. The life lessons he gives Simba one morning has lasting power because of the cinematography and James's soothing voice. Simba's just a little rascal who's always finding himself in trouble, but once he sees his father's death at a young age, he runs away to live a chill life with Timon and Pumbaa, but he is thwarted back into the responsibilities of being the rightful heir. Speaking of which, Timon and Pumbaa are some of Disney's most hilarious characters. If you haven't, I highly recommend watching their spin-off, Lion King 1.5, for more of their hilarious hijinks.
Rescuing Simba was a cinch. Then came the really scary part. Parenthood.
Hey, Uncle Scar. Will I like this surprise?
Simba, it's to die for.
The villain Scar is definitely Disney's best villain of all time. Jeremy Irons voices this villainous lion, and oh my god, it's one of Disney's best voice actors of all time, no complaints. He has the voice of a vicious, cunning, sly lion.
Yes, of course. As you wish, Your Majesty.
And of course you got Zazu, Nala, Rafiki, the hyenas, this blue bug. All of these characters are some of Disney's most memorable, and it's gonna stay that way until the sun blows up. Then you got the music of The Lion King. There's plenty of people who hate musicals, and even they would agree that the music in this movie slaps, especially the songs. Circle of Life is hauntingly beautiful. I Just Can't Wait to Be King is a frenzy of colorful animals all making a catchy song. Hakuna Matata, I mean, do I need to say anything about that one other than everyone on the earth knows that song? While watching this video, a random baby was just born and they even know the song. Can You Feel the Love Tonight is on par with A Whole New World when it comes to best Disney romance songs. Then, ooh, oh shit, okay. Then you got Be Prepared. Now you already know I said Scar is the best Disney villain, but if you have a villain in a musical, 99% of the time, he's gonna have a song, and if a villain has a song, you absolutely cannot fumble. Be Prepared is deliciously sinister, with some obvious allusions to, Anyways, Jeremy Irons' voice and the visuals carry this entire song. Every singular line and verse he says is eerie, and the ferociousness of his voice helps the song become Disney's best villain song of all time.
The point that I must emphasize is, you won't get a sniff without me!
And at the end, you got that long shot of him beginning to tower over his minions, the hyenas dancing to his plans about killing Simba's father. Then you get the final shot of the scene, which is to the one guy who hasn't seen the movie, have I convinced you to watch it yet? So after this amazing villain song, what happens right after this? Well, what you need to know is Disney villains always fail. Always, except Scar. He's a rare form and actually does end up killing Simba's father in a scene that has left tons of kids, including myself, traumatized. It truly works because as kids we watch all of these animated movies, right? We're like, okay, there's a bad guy, but they aren't gonna succeed at all. So when you end up watching The Lion King and you watch as Mufasa doesn't move after getting killed, you're sitting there like, okay, I'm not used to this. The Lion King isn't scared to go there, and it genuinely is quite depressing watching a young lion cub tell his father they have to go home. Then he turns around crying out for help, but no one is there, except Scar watching from afar. He actually succeeded. Then you start thinking of the final conversation Simba and Mufasa had, and it hits even harder.
Oh no! Dad? We're pals, right?
Right.
And we'll always be together, right?
Simba, let me tell you something that my father told me. Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars.
Really?
Yes. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you. And so will I.
The movie ends almost the exact same way as the powerful opening, with Simba and his friends Timon and Pumbaa and his new wife Nala peering over Pride Rock. Rafiki comes carrying the new princess that will rule one day, while A Circle of Life plays in the background. A masterpiece has come full circle. Believe it or not, I've never seen Pocahontas, and I dread to watch it ever since I started making this ranking. Even my friends knew I didn't want to watch it, but of course I did, and what do I think about it? It's not an awful movie, but it's one of the most definitively mediocre films I've ever watched. Pocahontas tells the real-life story of a young Native American who falls in love with John Smith, who is a part of English colonists that want to take over her land. Everyone has talked about how historically inaccurate this movie is, and that's true. People have also talked about how problematic the movie is, and it definitely is problematic, especially for a Disney movie. But my main gripe with this movie is that it's boring. This is definitely one of the most serious Disney movies, and some scenes excel at being intriguing when it gets serious. But I am here to declare that Meeko is the worst Disney animal sidekick. This raccoon is definitely made to keep kids awake, but I don't think he was needed in the story at all. Whenever a scene is getting real good and juicy, he's always doing something in the background that's incredibly distracting, like, damn, Rocket, get out of the way. Pocahontas and John Smith relationship has its moments, but the romance just feels dull because the movie isn't intriguing. If the story doesn't hook me, then the relationship the two are tied down to in the narrative won't have me engaged at all. If anything, this movie is extremely beautiful to look at. The humans' characters move gorgeously, and Colors of the Wind is a knockout of a song. It is immersive. Pocahontas isn't a train wreck, but it for sure isn't Disney's best. The Hunchback of Notre Dame starts out with Frollo, the villain, finding a baby who is ugly. He goes over to a well and says he will drown it and send it back to hell. This is a Disney movie. This movie is about Quasimodo, a hunchback who is deformed and lives in the church bell's tower. He sets out to assert his independence from the ruler Frollo as he helps a gypsy girl. When watching this movie, you'll notice how unapologetically dark it is, and that is the best aspect of this movie. Disney grew up here and made a movie that's tones are very gothic, and never really lets up on how cruel this movie is. Quasi is a sweet guy who unfortunately doesn't look the best. Frollo keeps him above the church because he knew if he drowned him as an infant, the eyes of the Lord would shame him forever. This is a Disney movie. The town is about to have a festival of fools where everyone acts stupid and crazy without being judged. After Quasi sings a triumphant song about wanting to be a part of it, he goes against his master Frollo's wishes. He goes anyways and is crowned the ugliest person in Paris. It's sad, but his spirits are lifted when they all cheer for him and clapping, and confetti is thrown all around him. Then they tear his clothes and call him horrible names while throwing food at him. This is a Disney movie. Again, the dark aspects excel here and shows that Disney can make a dark movie and be intriguing for the most part. I feel like sometimes the story doesn't flow well as it should, and the music can be very hit or miss. Most of the songs are good, but then you get the number from the gargoyles and it feels really out of place. The knockout song is Hellfire, which was almost cut from the movie. Frollo sings about how he has so much lust for Esmeralda and how it's a sin to do all the nasty things he would want to do with her because he believes she's a temptress from hell. Again, this is a Disney. The animation is beautiful, and when the CGI shots come in, it never clashes and it blends well with a 2D aspect. I love how Quasi falls for Esmeralda because she's the first real person to ever show him true attention. It's sweet, but it hurts even more when she kisses the captain right in front of him. The animation of Quasi as he clings to the beam as tears slowly go down his eyes is absolutely devastating. This is a movie that Disney can make a dark movie and make it still be interesting. Black Cauldron. While the story falls in and out of quality in some moments, the overall film is very good. This movie has the best Disney villain song since Be Prepared. Drop dead gorgeous animation, well executed dark underlying tones that push the boundary of what the studio is known for, but most importantly, it has Patrick Star.
Get this thing off me!
I'll teach you a lesson, peasant.
Way too heavy.
What? Too heavy? Since when have you been such a little
bitch?
Oh.
Hercules is about Hercules, who gets turned mortal and must prove himself as a hero to get back to Olympus. You ever go see a movie and you walk out and you just say, that was good, and you don't know what else to say? That's this movie. It's just perfectly good. The voice acting is stellar. I mean, you got the legend Danny DeVito.
I don't know how many years on this earth I got left. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
Then you got the villain Hades, who is voiced by James Woods. You know, the guy from Family Guy.
A week from tomorrow, it'll be 20 years we've been married.
I married Peter Griffin, you lunatic.
Hello? I was there. See?
He brings so much anger and rage to this performance. It's an amazing vocal performance, and voice acting hasn't been this good in a Disney movie since Robin Williams' Genie. This movie is a comedy, and the best moments comes from Hades. I also really love all the Greek jokes. I don't know a lot about Greek lore and stuff like that. Even then so, it added a lot of charm to the movie's humor, but a lot of the jokes are hit or miss. The Muses. Ooh. Ooh, the Muses are some of the best narrators in movie history. They bring some really good gospel and jazz music to the overall film. Every time they show up, it's sweet music to my ears. Zero to Hero is very upbeat as they narrate over a very fun montage of Hercules becoming famous. I Can Go to Distance is one of Disney's best I Want songs. I Can't Say I'm in Love is criminally underrated, but the other songs are very disappointing. Hercules is of course beautifully animated, but I feel like this whole action scene doesn't hold up visually. The CGI monsters don't really blend in that well, but for the time, I'm sure it was amazing. Hercules is just a good movie. I really do wish this movie did give itself some time to breathe though. Mulan tells the story about a girl who takes her sick father's place in the war. She has to constantly hide that she's a woman while training for that war. Disney has made a ton of Disney princess movies. Out of all of them, Mulan is the best Disney princess character. She starts off the movie just being your average girl, but the fact that she is so determined to keep her father from dying in war that she dresses like a man and takes his place is awe-inspiring. Mulan doesn't start off as some badass. She's extremely clumsy. The more she trains up, the more heroic she becomes. She holds her own and even impresses all the men at the camp when she gets the arrow from the top. Another great aspect of this is she uses some of her female traits to excel at the stuff the men don't think of. It's honestly a strong female character done right. The movie perfectly does the show not tell rule. With a lot of movies, the film wants you to believe the character is a strong female by constantly telling you but not showing you. Mulan doesn't do this and it soars for this, causing her to be the definitive Disney princess. Eddie Murphy plays Mushu, without a doubt one of the most funniest Disney sidekicks. Sometimes he talks too much, but he's nowhere near as distracting as Miko from Pocahontas. You can tell Eddie is having the time of his life in the recording booth. I love how in the animation world he was a dragon, then fell in love with one. It's fitting. The story is a slow burner, but it's always constantly intriguing as you see Mulan's characterization grow and grow more as she becomes more rootable throughout. All the side characters are a lot of fun, especially the three guys. The music is mostly top notch. The first song is catchy but kind of forgettable, but then there's Reflection, an absolute powerhouse. Lea Salonga did the singing voice for Jasmine and now Mulan. It's a show-stopping song that is an absolute Disney classic. Then there's Make a Man Out of You, which is the next song up. It again is also a showstopper and considered one of the best Disney songs of all time. Then the next song is just okay, but I love how it abruptly ends because they reach a village where everyone has been killed by the enemies. At this point, there's no more songs for the rest of the movie, to illustrate that the movie has gotten darker. The only main issue I have with this movie is the villain is very, very forgettable. Mulan is a great Disney movie, and the titular character is one of the studio's best protagonists of all time.
Monkey.
Tarzan is about a young boy whose parents are killed and is taken in by a mother gorilla. He lives with a family of gorillas, but when he meets other humans, everything changes. So when pitching this movie, Disney brought in Phil Collins and said, "We're making a movie about a boy and some monkeys. Just don't go too crazy." Phil said, "Okay, I promise." Then BAM! Phil Collins said, "Actually, f*** you Disney. F*** you Disney. I'm gonna make one of the best soundtracks ever." I don't know what Phil was going through during this movie, but he sings his heart out in every number. It's so powerful, and the scenes that play while the lyrics are being flowed through the film is wonderful. Sometimes it even feels like the movie is at the backdrop and Phil's voice is at the center, and it's marvelous. You know how I said that the Jungle Book, the scope felt large and the jungle felt alive? This movie cranks that up by 500 notches. The jungle is filled with CGI, but it all blends in perfectly. There's no complaints I have whatsoever. Whenever Tarzan is swinging through vines, leaves bursting out and filling the air, then he starts skating on the branches like Tony Hawk, it's such a sight to behold. In fact, the directors even said they took inspiration from Tony Hawk. The jungle just feels so alive. I know it's a cartoon, but something about it is so lifelike and grandiose. What I'm getting at is this is one of Disney's best looking animated films in the entire catalog, and it will stay like this forever. I could argue to say it's their most beautiful looking 2D film. This is one of those animated movies that makes me miss 2D films and caused me to realize why I love animation so much. But what about the rest of the movie? Well, this movie is shocking. I have gone 23 years of my life believing that Turk is a man, but really it's a girl played by Rosie O'Donnell. The story is very good as we watch Tarzan become closer to the humans and it strains his relationship with the gorillas. The best aspect is when Kala, the gorilla mom to Tarzan, still loves him despite knowing that he is finally getting close to people more like him. It's incredibly sweet and so beautiful. It's kind of cliche to like this element, but I really love how Tarzan can't understand Jane. So as their relationship grows and he starts understanding more like he was always meant to, it's rewarding. The only thing I hate about this movie is that Clayton is kind of forgettable as a Disney villain. His death is a lot more memorable than him. This This is a Disney movie. Tarzan is one of the best looking animated movies from the studio and a great way to end the Renaissance. Without a doubt, this is the best era of Disney. So many bangers. While not everything hit, it has some of their most well-known films to date. We got 5 princess movies, 4 of them which were great. The best film on this list so far, you know, a movie I pretend that doesn't exist. The best visually looking 2D film, a film that excels in its dark tones. Danny DeVito? I mean, there's no way this next era tops this, and spoiler alert, it doesn't. But I want to thank anyone who's made it this far in the video, and I'm going to tell you like all the other YouTubers would tell you. If you're new to this channel, and you're enjoying the video, you see that subscribe button? Don't hit it. At all. Yeah. Didn't see that one coming, huh? Okay, let's keep going. Fantasia 2000 is very similar to the original. It's about showcasing powerful classical music with outstanding animation. My thoughts of Fantasia are the same as the original, except this time I feel like this one isn't as magical this time around. While the music here is great, I don't think it's as strong as the original. While I think some of the segments are knockouts like the Space Well and the Rhapsody Blue one, the others are more disinteresting than the mediocre segments of the original classic. I don't think this movie set out to beat the original Fantasia in quality, but it does feel like a case of saying the classic phrase, "You can't beat the classics." In fact, one of the segments is just a rerun of The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
So long, Mr. Levine! Okay, Mr. Levine, everybody's in place for the next number.
Thanks, Mickey.
Psst.
When...
But we can't find Donald, so you stay here and stall for time. I'll be right back.
There's a lot of celebrity cameos in this, and I found some of them to be distracting, but I did like that they tried to bring in some humor during introductions to certain segments. They weren't funny, but I guess I appreciate the effort. The most disappointing thing about this was my most anticipated segment, which was Donald Duck. I feel like it would have worked if it was an original short, like how Mickey's was an original story in the first Fantasia. Here it's just Donald, but with Noah's Ark. It looks beautiful, but it feels underwhelming. Still much better than this short right here. Fantasia 2000 is drop dead gorgeous in a lot of areas with great music, but it feels just like the original except less in quality.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Dinosaur is about Aladar, a dinosaur who gets taken in by lemurs and they must travel to a sanctuary when meteors start raining down. So this is the worst movie in the list. You'll be finding this at the bottom of the ranking at the end of the video. Dinosaur is the most boring, ugliest film in the entire lineup. When I said Sword in the Stone was the most boring, I at least found interest in Merlin and the unintentional bad voice acting for Wart. When I said The Rescuers Down Under was absolutely bland, at least it looked visually appealing. Dinosaur has no redeeming qualities except every now and then the photorealistic settings occasionally look good. Not great, but good. This is Disney's dip into the CGI world, because Pixar was about to overtake them and they wanted to experiment. For the time I'm sure it looked great, but I'm willing to bet 1 year later it was already outdated. With the original Avatar, a lot of it still holds up, and that came out in 2009. Dinosaur looks like it came out in 2000. BC. None of the characters are memorable, but usually when none of the characters are memorable, some other aspects of the film help me remember them. You don't know the name of this dog from Oliver and Company. Her name is Rita. Why on earth do I remember that? Because the movie has Why Should I Worry, so I feel like the great aspect of that bland movie helps me remember some little tidbits about the characters at least. I don't care about Rita as a character, but I remember her name because the movie had some things that piqued just a little bit of interest. Here, I can't remember a single damn thing. It feels like I have to dig through the bottom of the barrel to find something good to talk about. The movie was such a bore to get through. Disney saw Pixar was winning with the new CGI technology. Why were they winning? Because they put effort in the stories and in the characters. Disney tried to do something experimental and added CGI with photorealistic environments, and it didn't work. I love when movie studios get risky, but none of this gets paid off. It's like they put visuals first and forgot about adding any great merit to the story or characters. I almost skipped this movie, and I never do that. There's a plot hole that's been pointed out by people as to why the herd went to have their babies in the nesting grounds, but didn't remain in the desert where they were traveling. This was explained in the essential guide of this movie. Yeah, let me spend $22 on the essential guide for Disney's hit film Dinosaur, starring the main character Aladar. Kids love dinosaurs. They absolutely would sacrifice themselves for a dinosaur. If I was 3 and I watched this, my passion for dinosaurs would disappear. Dinosaur is a bore. It's ugly to look at. Over half of the movie is in this boring desert. I don't care about the characters. I don't care what happens to them. There's the occasional good shot, and I'm sure for the time it looked decent, but now it is my least favorite Disney animated movie, and I'm sure it's gonna stay like that. God, this movie has me hand clapping. Please let the movie be good. Please let the next movie be good. Please. The next movie has to be good. It has to be good.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Watching Dinosaur feels like a sin. Watching Emperor's New Groove is like having every sin you've done cleansed from your body. Emperor's New Groove doesn't have the best story in Disney history. In fact, it has a really dumb cliche friendship breakup near the end. But that's okay. The movie having a great story is not its goal. The goal of the movie is to be an outright comedy, and it excels at that. This is the funniest Disney movie ever made, and it causes it to also be one of the best in the studio. This movie made me laugh in the first minute.
Will you take a look at that?
That sound he made, the that's hilarious. The Emperor's New Groove is about Cusco. He's a selfish, conceited, narcissistic emperor who decides to get rid of Pacha's village to turn it into a pool. He ends up getting turned into a llama by his advisor Yzma and gets lost. Now Pacha and Cusco must help each other get back to the kingdom to change Cusco back. The characters are such a standout here. You have Cusco, played by David Spade, who's just this unlikable protagonist. He's our narrator and is always putting himself first. He's genuinely an awful person and just unhinged, but he's actually really funny with how much of an asshole he is. He does not care, and it's hilarious. Him being an awful person could have made this a struggle to get through if he didn't have a good-hearted person by his side to balance this out. Pacha is voiced by John Goodman, who has a wonderful soul. He has a family who lives in the village that Cusco wants to destroy for some dumb pool. He's genuinely a swell guy. It evens out with Cusco being an awful person. They bounce off each other well and is one of the best duos in Disney history. Yzma is voiced by Eartha Kitt, and she is a top-tier Disney villain. Eartha's oomph she gives to Yzma's voice and her design causes her to be one of the best Disney villains. She's also paired with Kronk. It's nice of Joe Swanson to get out of the house with his wife Bonnie and be voiced by a Disney character. I wonder if Bonnie will ever be in a Disney movie. Anyways, he's a dumb character done right.
Do you know?
Oh, right. The poison for Cusco. The poison chosen specially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. That poison?
Yes, that poison.
Got you covered.
These four characters bounce off each other all so well. It causes the movie to always be entertaining and tons of fun. The comedy in the movie has its own unique flair to other Disney movies. It's very meta. I love the scene where the movie slows down so we can take in how much Pacha loves his family. Then Cusco stops the movie to remind you that his whole story is about him. There's so many iconic moments in this movie.
Let's take a look-see. Hate your hair. Not likely. Yikes. 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 And let me guess, you have a great personality. Is this really the best you could do?
Pull the lever, Kronk. Wrong lever!
Huh?
Why do we even have that lever?
Reason number 2. Look what I can do.
What? What does that have to do with anything?
No. He's got a point.
How did you get back here before us?
How did we, Kronk?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
The Emperor's New Groove doesn't have the best story out of all these films, but the comedy puts this up high on the list. I think the biggest highlight for me for this movie is when it made me laugh twice unintentionally. They said the classic movie phrases, "You might want to take a look at this," and "We've got company." This movie is about Milo and the team searching for Atlantis. Honestly, if this is your favorite Disney movie of all time, I'm sorry to say this, but I don't have a lot to say. Atlantis: The Lost Empire is just a movie that exists to me. Michael J. Fox is really fun as the main character, and the other characters are the characters, and the action is the action. The animation looks good, the movie is just a movie, and it exists. It's not mediocre or bad or good or great, it's just a movie to me. Sorry to my friend Joey who thinks this is Pete Disney. A young and parentless girl adopts a dog from the local pound, completely unaware that it's supposedly a dangerous scientific experiment that's taken refuge on Earth and is now hiding from its creator and those who see it as a menace. The Lion King causes me to cry at the Mufasa death. Lilo and Stitch causes me to cry at least 3 times. Lilo and Stitch is the most emotional movie to me on this entire lineup of films. This movie has its hilarious moments without a doubt, but also tells a rich and engaging story about a young Hawaiian girl and her broken family. Lilo is the most realistic kid in a Disney film. She's kind-hearted but is often reckless and a brat, but this is because no one accepts her as a friend. She weirds everyone out and it obviously damages her. She does things like swim by herself, take pictures of a random stranger and hangs it on her wall, and acts out in front of her sister. It's genuinely quite depressing because throughout the film, you see how sweet she is, but she's just a broken kid at such a young age. Nani takes care of her and is doing the best she can while working and trying to keep her out of trouble. She can't even go out on dates because she's so busy keeping everything afloat. Well, she has to, because there's a child protective service agent named Bubbles who will take Lilo if she can't prove herself to be a good guardian for her. Stitch is an alien that was created to cause destruction and mayhem. When Lilo buys him from the dog store, it causes strain on Lilo and Nani's world. He's mischievous, but he's absolutely adorable. Disney really did a well job with balancing the creepiness of his design and the cute factor. When he stops being so destructive and seeing what family and Ohana is all about, the movie becomes incredibly heartwarming and grips you in this warm feeling and won't let go. Nani and Lilo spend their final night together as she sings a sweet song to her. Once Lilo and Stitch get into the room, Lilo finally reveals that her parents are dead from a car crash, and even brings up that she hears Stitch cry at night, and it might be because he's alone.
What happened to yours? I hear you cry at night. Do you dream about them? I know that's why you wreck things and push me.
The already great emotional story beats swell up even more when Lilo says all of this. Stitch takes the Ugly Duckling book into the woods because he saw in a story that the duckling said he was lost and found his family. Stitch goes into the woods to replicate this.
Lost. Lost.
This scene broke me. Lilo and Stitch is such a heavy film with its subject matter of loneliness, found family, and being true to yourself. This is without a doubt the most heartbreaking Disney movie to me. Nani, Lilo, and Stitch's actions connect with each other's lives and it works beautifully. The film is so tightly written in the emotional department and causes this to be one of Disney's best films and honestly, one of the best animated films of all time. If we're not talking about how emotional you'll feel when watching this, the animation is stellar. I love that the backgrounds are watercolor. It gives this movie a whole new flair compared to the other 2D films. Lilo and Stitch is a powerhouse of a film. It's incredibly touching to me and it's going towards the very top of the list.
Oh, don't you feel more like pirates?
Look, I'm Peggy the Pirate.
I'm Blind Beard the Pirate.
Treasure Planet is about Jim Hawkins, a teenager who finds the map of a great treasure hidden by a space pirate. Together with some friends and John Silver, he sets off in a large spaceship on his quest. So Treasure Planet was sadly another big Disney box office bomb, which sucks because this is one of Disney's most dazzling looking films. There's a lot of different style of aliens, the CGI is perfectly blended in with the 2D effects. Literally John Silver is 2D himself, but since he's part cyborg, all of his mechanical parts are 3D animated, and it never looks jarring. The atmosphere is fully realized and everything feels so grandiose. You can easily tell this was John Musker and Ron Clement's passion project, and it was, they have stated it many times. They've crafted this beautiful sci-fi world and is very memorable. I'm not going to spoil how it plays out, but I love the relationship of Jim and John. John is revealed to be a twist villain early in the movie, so it gives time for the characterization of both of them to grow, and it's somewhat unpredictable. That's how you do a Disney twist villain, not just at the very end and not have the bad guy act like a bad guy. It just becomes jarring if you do that, Frozen. Once they get to Treasure Planet and meet this annoying Martin Short robot, the movie kind of falls apart. There's a romance that isn't really written that well because it comes out of nowhere, and the robot just won't shut up. Bro is not plot bender, and it isn't nearly as interesting as the first and second act. For what it's worth, I say give Treasure Planet a watch. It's now considered a cult classic, and I have never seen it before until now. Despite the final moments of the film, that first half is stellar and executed very well. It's not the best sci-fi movie, but I do feel bad for the two directors, and I wish the movie would have went well for them. Alright, it's time for some Crosby lore. Growing up when I was like 4, I didn't have cable, but I had a portable DVD player. For a while I only had 2 movies, Brother Bear and Ice Age. I did watch Brother Bear a couple of times, but Ice Age was my favorite to watch. I haven't watched Brother Bear since I was 4 years old, but I remember loving it. But what do I think now that I'm older and I am smart enough to voice my opinions? Brother Bear is about a young hunter named Kenai who needlessly kills a bear. After the bear kills one of his brothers, he is magically changed into a bear himself as punishment, with a talkative cub named Coda being his only guide to changing him back. The movie starts off so strong. We meet Kenai and his 2 brothers who are all 3 hunters. You get to see how their relationship is. Kenai is the youngest and freewheeling. This guy wearing the blue is kind of a jerk, I don't remember his name, and Sitka is the wise one that keeps them in check. They all get their totems that tell them their core personalities, and it's tied down to an animal. Kenai chases after a bear who steals the camp's fish. Sitka ends up dying, sacrificing himself to save his brothers. Kenai and his brother now push further apart. Kenai goes back for the bear, and once he does kill the bear, his brother's spirits turns him into a bear, and the aspect ratio changes to wide format. Oh my god, the shit is getting good. Then Kenai wakes up as a bear and the movie just immediately crumbles. Kenai is such a jerk to Coda, but also Coda is infuriating sometimes. So when they are at odds, they are both insufferable. Once they do get along, it's very sweet, but I hate that we saw them bond over a montage. I wish we could have gotten more dialogue exchanges to see how they build their friendship and brotherhood, because the movie's writing isn't bad whatsoever. Whenever the movie gets room to breathe, it's quite beautiful and sweet, but the movie doesn't seem like it's confident in itself. We have scenes of the other brother chasing Kenai, and those are riveting. Then there's a scene of Coda as he sees a cave with drawings of hunters, and he says how they are monsters. Kenai's eyes widen as he realizes he has yet to tell Coda he is one of those monsters. A hunter. This is very solid stuff, Disney. But then after that, we have to listen to more of the annoying animal side characters to drag out the runtime. The Canadian moose do have funny moments though, to be fair. The funniest moment of the entire film is definitely this.
This year, I lost my dear husband, Edgar.
Quit telling everyone I'm dead!
Sometimes I can still hear his voice.
Whenever the movie slows down, it's written good with the characterization, but when it's not like this, it misses the mark, causing the overall film to be very inconsistent in quality. Brother Bear has gorgeous animation, the music's good, it has a strong opening, but tonally it's very inconsistent. Ooh, I'm excited for this one. Home on the Range came out in 2004. By then, DreamWorks was already bored and had pumped out Shrek and Shrek 2. Pixar had made Toy Story, Toy Story 2, and Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. CGI animation was changing the entire film industry. During this time, 2D films were declining with audiences. Disney said, okay, we need to go out with a bang before we transition into this new era of animation. How does Disney bow out with their last 2D film for a while? By making a comedy about 3 cows who go after an evil cattle rustler who has a bounty. If they retrieve him, they get the money to save the farm. Like I just said, the movie is a comedy. Let me show you the funniest joke in the movie.
It's payback time. Cover me!
With what?
If that's the funniest joke in the movie, then you're in for a treat. Also, that's Bonnie, Joe Swanson's wife. I'm not gonna kid myself here. I think Home on the Range is a movie that not a lot of people know about. I am not one of those people. I watched this tons of times as a kid on my portable DVD player. I loved this movie as a kid. Embarrassingly enough, I think this might be the Disney movie I watched the most as a child, causing me to be the smartest Home on the Range expert in the universe. When I saw Wish, the end credits has the star drawing every Disney characters. The kids were screaming out the character's name, Ariel! And then when it got to Maggie from Home on the Range, the room went dead silent. And I'm sitting there like, you guys don't know Roseanne Cow? From the hit movie Home on the Range? Home on the Range's real problem is how unfunny it is. Alongside Emperor's New Groove, this movie is a straight comedy, except this one is painfully unfunny. Maggie and Miss Calloway are insufferable when paired against each other. They always butt heads and it's never fun or clever. Grace is the best cow though. You have a horse named Butt played by Cuba Gooding Jr. and he's kind of annoying too. Either the characters in this movie are annoying or just not funny, or sometimes even a mixture of both. But there's one thing that almost saves the entire film: Alameda Slim. There are a lot of underrated Disney villains. I think he is the most underrated without a shadow of a doubt. So, he's a cattle rustler. He steals cows and whatnot. pretty straightforward. In this scene, we have our 3 main cows finally meet him. We meet Slim's 3 cowboy goons who are genuinely funny only because of how much Slim abuses them, and their voices are really hysterical to me. Anyway, Slim starts singing a song about how he is the best cattle rustler. The song starts off so generic and boring, and he pulls out a gun to shoot down Maggie, who is charging at him. Then the gun turns into a guitar and he starts yodeling.
The sweetest way of rustling yet devised.
It causes all the cows to go into a colorful trance, and the movie becomes the most entertaining film on the list, just for a little bit. It's such a wacky segment, but it works so well. The villain uses yodeling to put cows in a trance, and that is such a fun concept. When the movie plays it straightforward and doesn't do anything interesting with its tale of 3 cows going after a cattle rustler, it feels bland and generic. When it pulls out a fat man yodeling to turn cows different colors to go into a valley, it's absolutely stellar. This movie is at its best when it's wacky and it doesn't take itself seriously. I think The Emperor's New Groove excels because it's meta, it's stupid, it knows it's dumb. Whenever Home on the Range is stupid, it's a good movie, but it doesn't do that a lot. Instead, it tries to be straightforward, causing it to be dull. Which sucks because when rewatching this, I hated I didn't love it anymore like I did as a kid. But I have a soft spot because of the power of nostalgia. It's not Disney's worst movie, not at all, but it could have been a lot better. It's time to finally go into the world of CGI. We are now at the first all CGI Disney film, so it has to be good. This is gonna be good. Did it turn out good? Well, it's complicated. Some of you may not know this, but a lot of critics consider Chicken Little to be the worst movie, but that's not true. We have Dinosaur. I've listened to people over the years talk about how this movie is a disgrace, how mean-spirited the characters are, how it's just not funny. As a kid, I remember loving the hell out of this movie. What is everyone talking about? After ruining his reputation with the town, a courageous chicken must come to the rescue of his fellow citizens when aliens start an invasion. Rewatching this movie all these years later, yeah, I see the problems that people have with it. Here's the problem with Chicken Little. The movie doesn't know what it wants to be. It's a movie with a huge identity crisis. It doesn't know if it wants to be a traditional Disney movie or a subversion. It doesn't know if it wants to be a heartwarming tale or just another alien movie. Chicken Little does what Shrek does, takes the fairy tale vibe and twists it on its head by being raunchy. It worked with Shrek because the characters are likable, they have growth, they learn lessons, and the movie takes its time on building the world. Chicken Little does the opposite of that. When Chicken Little accidentally causes chaos when he believes the sky is falling, the town hates him. Okay, understandable, he did almost destroy the entire town. Then the movie shows that a year has passed and no one has lightened up on him at all except for his friends Abby, Runt, and Fish Out of Water. Seeing Chicken Little get berated throughout the film is never fun or clever, it just comes off as cruel. It makes this world feel so shallow and empty. I would understand if one person like Foxy Loxy would be constantly mean to him, but no, it's the entire town. Chicken Little is a likable protagonist and his friends have its moments, but the true standout is Chicken Little's father, Buck Cluck. Now I actually made a video a long time ago talking about how he is one of the worst fathers in cinema, but I never really went in depth as to why I think so.
This chicken needs to take a trip to KFC and look into the fryer so I can drown this bitch. After a year, the town is still bullying him, harassing him, and this is his advice.
Remember how I told you it would be better for you just to lay low, don't call attention to yourself, right?
Yes, but
see, it's like a game. Yeah, a game of hide and seek, except the goal is never to be found, ever.
When no one believes him, he looks into his father's soulless eyes, pleading for him to believe him this time.
I'm not making this up. You gotta believe me this time.
No, son, I don't. I can't tell you how embarrassed I am, folks.
He's embarrassed. And then to put insult to injury.
Oh, Mr. Cluck, don't take it so hard. No one blames you.
What really puts insult to injury is how we found out Chicken Little's mother isn't around. She's presumably dead. Buck isn't unaware of the town's mistreatment of Chicken Little. He never defends his son or fights for his son. And even knowing that his mom isn't there to soothe him, he just goes along with what everyone says, and it's just really mean and hurtful. I don't like this character at all. What really hurts the movie is the halfway mark. Chicken Little has won the baseball game and his dad is finally proud of him. Then out of nowhere, a piece of the sky actually falls into Chicken Little's room. Physical proof that he wasn't lying. The whole town can believe him. His dad can see the proof that he's not crazy. Everyone will cheer him on and they'll all save the day. But what does Chicken Little do in this scenario?
I fell out of bed.
Huh? How'd you get over there?
Over where?
There.
Where?
There. How'd you get over there?
Who are we talking about?
Okay, that's funny, but I can't tell if they did this to make the movie drag out longer, to show that Chicken Little is so scared of what his dad thinks of him and he's traumatized by his actions, or the writers just didn't know how to write a movie. You know, it's probably all three. Probably all three of those.
Who are we talking about?
At this point, the movie could have taken a different approach. It could have humanized Buck Cluck, the worst element of the film. He finally believes Chicken Little at the final 15-minute mark, and even admits his parenting hasn't been the best. But by then, it's too late. If this breakthrough happened earlier, they could have been enough to salvage and put together a good film, a good redemption for Buck. It sucks the town hates Chicken Little, but this is his dad we're talking about. If he was likable, it could balance out between the hatred the town has for Chicken Little. Buck is a fundamental character whose actions could have turned this movie into maybe not the best Disney movie, but a sweet one if Disney played their cards right. But I can talk all this shit about Chicken Little. All this stuff about how the writing crumbles any good merits the film could have had. I could spend years on this channel making countless videos trashing this movie, but I gotta admit, this movie is really entertaining. That's the strangest thing. The movie is actually never boring. It's always entertaining. It throws you so many bad characters, and then it becomes a baseball movie, and then they say, actually, we're gonna do an alien movie instead. And it's weird, and it's so stupid, but I love it for that. The plot structure is not the best, but with how much that happens, it's fun to watch in a way. God, I swear this movie is secretly a genius in disguise. With a lot of the movies near the bottom of the list of this ranking, I just like them because they are boring and have nothing to say. Chicken Little may not have anything to say, but I can at least not be bored by it. I can sit down and watch this movie and not want to turn it off. It just baffles me how this movie has so many wrong things in it, but it doesn't end up near the very bottom because it's very entertaining. And there's even moments that make me laugh, like laugh really hard.
Chicken Little, you better have a good explanation for this.
You have to,
What did he say?
you have to, don't.
Even for their first time at a fully CGI animated theatrical film, it doesn't even look half bad. Chicken Little is the strangest Disney movie ever made, and I hate it for that, but I also love it for that. Okay, let's see how their second outing in the CGI animation world did. Meet the Robinsons came out the year when Pixar created the masterpiece Ratatouille. I remember in my Pixar ranking I reviewed it while cooking spaghetti. That doesn't matter. Anyways, how is Meet the Robinsons? Well, it doesn't even hold a candle to Ratatouille, nor my spaghetti. Meet the Robinsons is about Lewis, a brilliant inventor who meets a mysterious stranger named Wilbur Robinson, whisking Lewis away into a time machine, and together they team up to track down Bowler Hat Guy, in a showdown that ends with an unexpected twist of fate. So Lewis is an orphan and has gone through 124 adoption interviews and can't seem to get anyone to take him home. The movie starts off by showing us his mom dropping him off at the orphanage doorstep. He goes to his school science fair where he shows everyone his memory machine that will track down what his mom looks like. But his plans are interrupted by Wilbur taking him to the future to fix the past and a time machine. So this is the first act of the movie, and it's kind of generic stuff. You know, besides Lewis's goal to see his mom again. It feels like it's going to be a convoluted time travel story, but most time travel movies are in some way. Not all though. Even when Wilbur takes Lewis to the future, it kinda looks bland. There's some neat ideas thrown throughout, but it doesn't wow me. It doesn't wow me, you know? Then we meet the characters of the Robinsons household. The movie throws its basicness out of the way and becomes really good. The movie's plot isn't the best, but the characters cause it to be so memorable. The characters here are so unapologetically creative, I can't help but to really enjoy this movie. You got this guy who shoots sausages, a guy who's married to a puppet, a hilarious old man, these frogs who are super snazzy, two guys who fight over how many times their doorbell can be rang, and much more. There's a long montage where we see all these characters and it's absolutely hysterical. All of these characters are so funny. You even got Adam West as a super cool pizza delivery guy. The Boiler Hat Guy is one of the most entertaining and most hilarious Disney villains. He's sinister but also really stupid. What really works is how in the end you see how all the crazy characters were in Lewis's past and how it all connects to the future aspect from the movie. It makes the characters even better than they already were. The story has a really nice message about moving forward. It's really unique for a kids film. Keep moving forward is such a nice message for anyone to hear, especially when you feel like giving up. I almost gave up on Dinosaur, but I kept moving forward. This message is effective and timeless. Again, the story isn't the best time travel story out there, but for a Disney movie, it's a solid watch. Bolt is, Bolt is a movie about a dog who believes his TV show role is the same thing as his real life. He gets separated from his owner and must find her with the help of a cat and hamster who keeps saying the word awesome every 5 minutes. I'm sorry to the Bolt lovers, but I found this movie to be so generic. You know how with Atlantis, I said it was just a movie, it just exists? Well, at least with that movie, there's unique things that happen throughout. Here it's a standard, generic, basic movie, and there's nothing really to it at all. John Travolta is a dog. I mean, that's cool, I guess. You know, Miley Cyrus is in it. You know, it's a movie, you know.
And then one day they'll pack up all their stuff and move away and take their love with them and leave their declawed cat behind to fend for herself.
I don't care. The post-Renaissance is a really weird creature. It's definitely Disney's most experimental era. You can definitely see them trying to see what sticks. It had its classics, but also some really bad movies, and some movies that had really good potential but ended up not doing great at the box office because 2D was dying. With the leap into CGI and only one of the 3 of those CGI movies being good in this era, let's see how they fare now, since this next era is where they truly embrace the 3D animation.
Are you one of those frogs that'll turn into a prince if I kiss you?
Why don't you kiss me and see for yourself?
You're still a frog.
Yeah, you also have to reach one hand under me and lightly touch the underside of my penis.
Me watching this movie was way overdue. Alongside Pocahontas and Raya, this is a Disney princess movie I had not seen. The Princess and the Frog is about Tiana, a black woman who is growing up in the bayou of Louisiana. She dreams of having her own restaurant in honor of her father who taught her how to cook. Things go souther than the swamp when she meets the prince, and they both turn into frogs. Now they must find a way to turn back into humans for their own personal reasons. If there's any aspect I'll remember this movie by, it's how gorgeous it looks. The Louisiana town is so fully realized here. The dirty orange and brown streets contrasted by the colorful jazz players marching down the roads, the bright sun peeling down on the rivers of the bayou and swamp, the water reflecting off the roof of this boat, the darkness and fog of the town in the final act that is juxtaposed with the colorful voodoo presence. This is up there with Disney's best 2D work of all time. The first 30 minutes of the movie are perfect. We get to see Tiana as a kid and see how her dad is her biggest role model. They talk about wishing stars in such a profound way for a kids movie that it genuinely touched my heart.
You wish and you dream with all your little heart. But you remember, Tiana, that old star can only take you part of the way. Gotta help it along with some hard work of your own. And then, yeah, you can do anything you set your mind to.
This movie is for kids, but the whole aspect of Tiana being told that someone of her background is better off not buying the restaurant that she worked hard for spoke a lot to me as an adult. Tiana is such a hard worker, and it makes her character extremely likable and rootable. This causes her to bust out one of the best Disney musical numbers I've seen in a while, and it's the best song of the movie. Despite the movie staying in the same art style 90% of the time, this particular number sticks out even more because the scenery changes and fits in with the upbeat hopefulness of the song. Tiana is definitely up there in best Disney princesses. She's written extremely well, and I wanted her to succeed throughout the entire runtime. The villain is memorable because of how dark it gets, and the animation for his shadow was a blast. He's creepy and incredibly sketchy with a smooth voice. These 30 minutes are so perfect. So what about the rest? When the movie turns Tiana into a frog, the movie goes downhill slowly. We're introduced to Louise, an alligator who wishes to play the trumpet publicly. While I didn't care about his ambitions nearly as much as Tiana, his character is nice and serviceable. Then we're introduced to Ray the Firefly, and that's when the movie really drowned my love for this film. When Raya is on screen, we're introduced to one of the most annoying Disney sidekicks, and the story immediately becomes bland and just passable. The first act has this serious but also sweet story about Tiana wanting to buy and get her own restaurant, and then we get some of the worst jokes in any Disney movie, and it all just falls completely flat in the middle segment. So once we get deep into the middle act, any antics that are supposed to bring the two main characters together just feels forced and uninteresting. It sucks because I really wanted to love this movie, because I started out loving it and then it starts to disappear when the story became bland and murky, just like swamp water. The villain's death is memorable and one of my favorite downfalls of any Disney antagonist yet. Seeing Tiana's dream come true at the end had me smiling, and that's when I realized, maybe if the middle act of the story was tweaked heavily, maybe if they took a different approach, then this would be up there in one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Despite that incredibly weak middle that makes the story feel incredibly muddled, every other element like the outstanding animation, Tiana as a character, and a sinister villain with solid musical numbers just makes this an okay Disney film. Alright, that was fun. Back to CGI, no more 2D stuff ever again. The magically long-haired Rapunzel has spent her entire life in a tower, but now that a runaway thief has stumbled upon her, she is about to discover the world for the first time and who she really is. Tangled was the studio's 50th film, and wow, what a way to celebrate. This is the best Disney princess movie since Mulan, and actually slightly edges out Mulan because the villain is more interesting here. Mother Gothel is a hilarious villain because of how often she gaslights Rapunzel, or how many times she just makes obvious mom jokes.
You know what I see? I see a strong, confident, beautiful young lady. Oh, look, you're here too. I'm just teasing. Stop taking everything so seriously.
Rapunzel is a very likable protagonist, and you care about her goals because she's so upbeat and sweet. Flynn is also this cool guy and is probably the most interesting Disney prince since Aladdin. They both bounce off each other so well, but things get really good in the quieter moments of the movie. There's a 5-minute scene of them talking after almost being killed. It's riveting stuff as you see both of them slowly warm up to each other. I love it when animated movies give their characters time to breathe and not show them becoming friends over a montage. Brother Bear. The music is a knockout. See the Light is a gorgeous duet between Rapunzel and Flynn. I've Got a Dream is such an underrated bop. When Will My Life Begin might be the best opening song to a princess movie. Mother Knows Best is a decent villain song. All these songs are very solid. The animation looks incredible and still holds up all these years later. With Bolt and Meet the Robinsons, it looks okay, I guess, but here is when the CGI animation starts becoming a showstopper. Everyone who's watching this video, start clapping right now because we need to applaud the animators on Rapunzel's hair. Hair is one of the hardest things to do in the animation world. Rapunzel's hair is so long and intricate and one of the main elements of this film, and it constantly looks perfect. Whether it's dragging it across the floor or she's holding it in a bunch or when it lights up is a visual treat and should not be scoffed at. Tangled is not perfect, but it is the studio's best in a while. Alright, back to the 2D stuff. While searching for Honey, Pooh and his friends embark on an adventure to find Eeyore's missing tail and rescue Christopher Robin from an unknown monster called the Baxen. So this movie is really special to me. This was the first movie my family took my little brother to see. He was only 2 years old and never cried or made a bunch of racket, putting an end to the myth that kids can never behave in a movie theater. Disney wanted this movie to succeed well at the box office, so in a smart move made by Disney, they released it the same weekend as the little indie film called Deathly Hallows Part 2. 6 hours ago in my Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh segment, I talked about how much I love these characters. They're so iconic and it's always fun to watch them bounce off each other and interact. The original movie came out in 1977, this one in 2011. That's a long time between these movies. It's not a sequel but an entirely new story. It feels like this movie still 100% understands the characters. They're all the same as they were in the classic anthology film, and once again all the characters are so charming and a blast to witness. Again, I know this is the Disney property that's really catered to smaller children, but the personalities of each of these characters are always so pleasant to watch. I can't get enough of it. The movie is just a simple film and it doesn't try to be anything more than that. It stays true to the franchise's roots and stuff. They interact with the words of the book they are a part of. The main theme sung by Zooey Deschanel is really cozy and sounds so childhood-like I don't know how to explain it. The animation looks stellar and of course it's a major improvement of the 1977 film. The characters have never moved this fluidly and the honey segment is peak.
Honey, can I honey a honey?
No honey before honey, honey.
Honey up, Pooh. We had the honey.
Honey. Ooh, honey.
Yes.
As Pooh watched the honey honey away, his honey, 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 honey,
I think I like this one more than many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh because it's more of a cohesive story, despite it being a little disjointed in areas. But even then so, this movie is confident in what it is, which is just a simple children's film that stays true to the spirit of the franchise. In fact, this movie is only 55 minutes long without credits. So if you got free time, you should definitely check this out. Winnie the Pooh is just comforting. I don't know, leave me alone. Video game projects and film and shows are just now starting to get really good. The Mario movie embraces the world of its series with open arms, and it's a great film if you love The Plumber. Then you have The Last of Us, which improves on stuff from the game, but I think the best video game film of all time is Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph, also known as Wreck-It Ralph, is 9 feet tall and 643 pounds. Now I know you girls like tall guys, but I really didn't know they had to be a skyscraper. He has been around for 30 years, serving as an antagonist for an arcade game called Fix-It Felix Jr. By the time the 30th anniversary rolls around in Game Therapy, where Bowser is talking about his problems with kidnapping women against their will and Eggman is having problems enslaving animals, Ralph releases a bombshell.
I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
Ralph goes on a mission to prove that he can be a good guy despite being a bad guy. In this arcade character universe, they are able to travel through power cords to a hub where they are able to see other characters and go into each other's games. They be drinking beers at Tapper, the forgotten classic characters are homeless, we even get to see Sonic in his first theatrical film. 60% of the movie is spent in the colorful racing game Sugar Rush, which is extremely vibrant and uses some of Disney's best animation on the radiant terrain. I do wish we could see more time in other games, just for a little bit. I really like the aesthetic of Hero's Duty. The best part about the Sugar Rush segments is Vanellope and Ralph's relationship. It's the cliche grumpy guy teams up with an energetic kid, but Vanellope is a glitch, a malfunction in her game, and it gives so many moments for this movie about a Donkey Kong ripoff to get really emotional. I love how when she's distressed, she just starts glitching out everywhere. The scene where Ralph breaks Vanellope's car betraying her is heart-wrenching. Sarah Silverman gives a knockout vocal performance. It genuinely sounds like a child screaming for someone to stop hurting what they love. This movie has the cliche lesson of being yourself, but the way it incorporates that into the film is genius and full of so much pathos. With Ralph sacrificing himself saying this,
There's no one I'd rather be than me.
It gives me chills every time. Wreck-It Ralph is one of the best video game movies ever made, but also one of the best Disney movies of all time.
It's in my code. Have y'all ever seen Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah.
You remember how that girl in there, the people that was racing, she was the glitch.
Yeah.
You telling me they don't look at me like the motherfucking glitch?
Big summer blowout.
When this movie came out, everyone swore it was the best Disney movie ever made, and that always made me wonder, did y'all even see The Lion King? The Frozen hype died down 2 years later, which is still a long time. I mean, this movie probably gave them $20 billion in merchandise, and at the time it was the biggest box office for an animated film. But how does it hold up 10 years later? It's a good movie, but it's no masterpiece. Here's the plot for the one person who hasn't seen the movie. When the newly crowned Queen Elsa accidentally uses her powers to turn things into ice to curse her home in infinite winter, her sister Anna teams up with a mountain man, his playful reindeer, and a snowman to change the weather condition. While it did come out 10 years ago, the animation still holds up impressively well. Sure, it's not as grand as Frozen 2, but the animation, especially on the snow, looks so realistic. Gets me cold just looking at it. And all of the musical numbers are full of vibrant colors and are cozy to look at even in the harsh cold weather. The best part about this movie is the soundtrack. Every single song slaps, except for one. Frozen Heart is not the most memorable song, but it opens up the film and sets the tone for the overall movie. Do You Want to Build a Snowman is so sweet and fun, and it seamlessly switches tones to depressing without it being jarring, because their parents end up dying. For the First Time in Forever is an upbeat song that might be the most underrated on the soundtrack. Love is an Open Door is absolutely catchy, but has one lyric that still doesn't make sense to me.
You and I were just meant to be.
In Summer is playful and humorous, and then the final song is Fixer Upper, which is the worst song in the entire film. Why they didn't end it on First Time in Forever reprise is beyond me, because it's such a powerhouse. It's a perfect ballad between the two princesses. Then of course there's the best song, Let It Go, which is a showstopper. One of the best Disney songs of all time, without a doubt. There's a reason everyone sang this throughout the hallways of my middle school. Idina Menzel lends a powerful, radiant solo number, which has stood the test of time, combined with amazing visuals and everything else. Oh yeah, and I forgot this song. It's okay. Damn, the soundtrack is a masterpiece. It's just so good. If only the story was as good. That's right, I really think the movie fumbles a little bit with its story. The characters are absolutely memorable. Anna is joyous and upbeat, Elsa's determined and badass, Kristoff is just a chill dude, and Olaf is a lovable goofball. If these characters weren't so memorable, then the overall film would be worse in quality. The movie's story doesn't have any plot holes or it's just a bad story. It's just the getting to Elsa part is kinda bland as they move from one set piece to another. The movie starts off strong and ends strong, but the characters really carried the mediocre middle adventure segment. It's only about 25% of the movie that isn't that intriguing, so it definitely doesn't hurt the overall film.
Oh, Anna. If only there was someone out there who loved you.
Another flaw I have is the twist villain. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I did not see this shit coming as a kid. When I was in the theater, my mouth dropped open. Now that I'm older and I can fully voice my opinions, it just feels like it comes out of nowhere. When you first watch the film, it's unpredictable, and it can serve us well within the narrative, but then you start thinking that maybe this movie could have fared well without a villain. The movie even serves well without having a princess fall in love with someone else. Sure, Anna likes Kristoff, but it isn't the main aspect of the movie. It's the love that Anna and Elsa have for someone, and I applaud Disney for taking a new approach to a Disney princess movie. But come on, a twist villain? And I also blame Disney for this movie because it really started kicking off their love for twist villains. Now to talk about the thing that I promise you no one has mentioned with this movie. What I love about Frozen is the opening. So like, get this. Before the movie, the aspect ratio gets really small. A Mickey Mouse cartoon starts playing. One that looks like it came from the 30s. The animation is extremely fluid and lively. The audio sounds like old Walt Disney himself recording Mickey. Mickey gets on a hayride with Minnie and pals, and Pete gets mad because he don't get no bitches. So you're sitting there like, okay, why are they playing a short film from the olden days? Then Pete does this. Holy shit, this is brilliant. They created a whole new short that looks like it's from the 30s and used mixed audio from Walt Disney and others. And it sounds so crisp and clean. Now it's all about Mickey in our world trying to get back to Minnie, who is behind the screen. This short flawlessly blends 3D visuals of Mickey and Horace trying to get back to Minnie in the black and white world. The things they come up with are extremely creative. If you haven't watched the short Get a Horse that played before Frozen, please do. Without a doubt, my favorite short in Disney history. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be talking about Frozen. Frozen's good. In 2014, one of the best animated movies of all time was released. A movie with unique animation and one of my favorite films of all time in general. That movie was the Lego Movie, and it was snubbed from the Oscars and Big Hero 6 won. I hate Big Hero 6. Okay, I actually don't hate this movie, but I certainly think it's overrated. In my Lego Movie video, I said this. I think it was the best animated film of 2014. How to Train Your Dragon 2 was really great, and hot take, Big Hero 6 is not really that great. You what? By the way, if you haven't watched my Lego Movie review, which was my 100th review on this channel, I'm really proud of the work that I put in, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't. But anyways, the writing in the dialogue apartment leaves a lot to be desired throughout the film.
Oh, what would Mom and Dad say?
I don't know. They're gone. They died when I was 3, remember?
I know this is a cartoon, but can we be a little bit more realistic with our conversations? Who talks like that? The animation is of course great, the action scenes are good, and I like the side characters, and of course Baymax is a scene stealer. But outside of that, I kind of find this movie to be sort of eh. The villain definitely doesn't help with the film's quality at all. He's just really lame. And I hate to be like that, you know? I hate to be like, it was just a movie that exists, but Big Hero 6 is just Baymax is fun and it has its moments, but the Lego Movie is better. I don't know. I could have swore the shot of Aunt Cass looked different, but maybe I'm just losing my mind. In a city of anthropomorphic animals, a rookie bunny cop and a cynical con artist fox must work together to uncover a conspiracy. Right off the bat, I want to say I love the world of Zootopia. And seeing the movie that came out the same year, they live in the city but there's nothing to it. Small animals and big animals coexist and we never get any insight on how it all operates. Now you turn on Zootopia and oh my god, it's night and day. It is absolutely beautiful and fully realized. Zootopia is a multi-climate city. You got camels running in the desert desert like track stars, animals like penguins and polar bears live in the harsh cold tundra, you have little shrews that have their own little mini city, gated off by the community so no one steps on them, panthers live in the leafy jungle with twisted vines. The New York type city has all different abundance of animals from large giraffes, bulls, and elephants to the smaller creatures like rabbits and foxes. Sloths run the DMV, which is hilarious. This might be my favorite universe in all of Disney from how aesthetically cool it all looks. This is some of Disney's best fur on animals, and the animation overall is just phenomenal. How's the rest of the movie though? It's a very great mystery movie. While I didn't dig the twist villain at the end, Judy and Nick's friendship makes up for it. They bounce off each other greatly. Similar to Flynn and Rapunzel, the movie gives them moments for the film to slow down so they can get to know each other. Thank God this movie didn't have them date by the end, and thank God no one has made any type of art of them in that matter. The movie has racial underlyings, and I think the movie is fine with them. Sometimes it's very on the nose, but when it's subtle, it works wonders. When the movie uses the show don't tell rule about the prejudice element, it's very clever, but when they out loud kinda allude to the racial allegories of the difference between predator and prey, it's kind of annoying. However, I think the movie is really bold for doing something like this. Some of the jokes are really great, but there's some that will probably age the film, like all the phone jokes. There's one really outdated joke that has the weasel selling movies, some that aren't even out yet, and one says Giraffic, which was supposed to be Gigantic, one of the movies Disney canceled that I was really hyped for as a kid. So thanks Disney. Overall, Zootopia is a flawed but great movie. Why the nudist scene exists, I will never know, but still, a daring Disney movie that is absolutely entertaining and one of the best Disney worlds of all time.
Now he always has time for his fans. When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
Damn, Disney really hit their stride in 2016. First came Zootopia and now Moana. In ancient Polynesia, when a terrible curse incurred by the demigod Maui reaches Moana's island, she answers the ocean's call to seek out the demigod to set things right. I know what you're thinking. This is the part where Crosby praises the animation of the characters or the world or whatever. Well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna talk about the animation of something a lot more interesting.
Alright, so now it's time to talk about what everybody came here for. Water.
Water. Water. Water. Right alongside hair, water is one of the hardest things to animate. You have to make it absolutely lifelike or it'll fail miserably. And sometimes the challenge is impossible to do. Moana does the impossible. Let me tell you, the water in this movie looks so lifelike, just so real, just exquisite. There's a lot of water in this movie and it's so miraculously done. The water is like a character in this movie. No, seriously, there's moments when the water is the main character. Man, do I love the water in this movie. Oh, the rest of the movie is great too. With a lot of Disney musicals, there's great songs, then a bad song, and maybe one forgettable song. Like Tangled, the songs are constantly great throughout. They're either catchy or powerful. I really liked it when the YouTuber Shaft sang his song. It was very entertaining, makes me proud to be subscribed to him. Dwayne Johnson doesn't even try to sing amazingly. He just sings in his natural voice and it's really charming. I also like how there's 2D elements in the film, like how his tattoos move and stuff. That's really cool. The characters of Moana and Maui vibe together well, and the movie is intriguing in the characterization department. You can clearly see Moana grow more and more as the movie runtime goes on. It's intriguing to watch where both of them start and then end up. The movie is also a very entertaining adventure film. Every challenge they face is more interesting than the last challenge. Also, the shot goes so hard it's insane. Moana is one of the best adventure stories from Disney. Its characters are memorable and their arcs are masterfully told, but it's also one of the best water movies ever told.
Wah, wah, wah. Will you cut that out?
After saving the arcade from Turbo's revenge, the Sugar Rush arcade cabinet has broken, forcing Ralph and Vanellope to travel to the internet via the newly installed Wi-Fi router in Litwack's arcade to retrieve the piece capable of saving the game.
Look at the signs aren't even real! Ah!
What the heck? Dang internet?
Hey, it's been a while since you saw my face.
Ralph Breaks the Internet is a good movie. And a terrible, terrible sequel. Whenever Vanellope gets to the internet, you see a bunch of things like Google, Snapchat, IMDb, Twitter. X, Oh My Disney. And while that's cool and all with how fully realized the world of the internet is, it feels like the movie has a high risk of being outdated at some point. I love how people on the internet are like little avatars just walking around. There's characters that aren't avatars that just hold out ads and shove them in your face. It's annoying like pop-up ads are, and it's clever. So many things in this film are clever.
350, 50, 50, 50 now. Who give me 350?
400.
Going once, going twice, and sold! The tortilla chip shaped like international superstar Beyonce Knowles goes for 400.
Yay, so happy.
One thing that's actually really clever about this movie is in the trailer there's a part where Ralph is playing a game where he feeds a bunny a pancake, and this part never appears in the movie, but in the post-credit scenes, a little girl is like, well, I mean, the movie was alright, but where was that part with Ralph and the bunny? And then it shows up. That is really cool. When Vanellope goes to All My Disney, it feels like Disney is jerking itself off, showing off everything they all own, and it doesn't feel magical whatsoever. I mean, it's cool to see Groot be in the same movie as Nick Wilde though. The princess scene is amazing. It's nice to see them point fun at all the tropes in this long lineup of princess movies. It's very meta, but a blast. Seeing them all get into clothes more comfortable than their iconic outfits is hilarious, but their shirts say something about their movies. It's just, I don't know, it's clever. Vanellope is an official Disney princess, but she is in her game. So they get her to sing a song that's extremely jokey, fourth wall breaking, but absolutely catchy. God, everything Vanellope has going for her in this movie is absolutely stellar. Okay, now let's talk about Ralph. The main anchor this film has is Ralph's dependency on Vanellope. He's extremely clingy and absolutely annoying about it. Ralph's character arc in the first movie, while cliche, is one of my favorite arcs in Disney movie history. I love this character, but in this one he's more stupider than he was in the original, more babyish and creepily obsessive, and it feels like his character has taken one step forward and then 10 steps back. When he sends out a virus to slaughter race because he hates that Vanellope doesn't want to come back home, it crushes his character, and he tries to paint Vanellope as the bad guy when all she wanted to do was follow her dream. This causes the virus to seek out Ralph's insecurities and make copies of him that creepily chase after Vanellope. Ralph finally sees how bad of a friend he is being, and near the end of the movie, Vanellope leaves to go to slaughter race. And at this part of the movie, I was waiting for Disney to do the classic, oh, she's gonna come back and stay with her friend. But it never comes. The movie has the balls to end the film with Ralph accepting Vanellope's dream and them being friends from afar. I genuinely think this is one of the best endings to a Disney movie of all time. But man, they messed up Ralph's character here. When Ralph isn't obsessed with Vanellope, he's doing YouTube trends that date the film even more, and while it's funny in the moment, it feels just kinda cringe and dated the film even more. Who's gonna remember Fortnite in 10 years? Who am I kidding? The game will never die. I love the lesson about just because you two have a different dream doesn't mean you can't be friends. I love the beginning of the film and the end, but so much of Ralph's character's arc doesn't feel right because of how poorly he is written. Ralph Breaks the Internet is an entertaining movie, but heavily flawed as a sequel.
I love happy endings. I mean, I presume we're done. Or is this putting us in mortal danger situation gonna be a regular thing?
No, we're done.
Frozen 2 is the highest grossing animated film in history. Surely it has to be amazing. Yeah, no. Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, Olaf, and Sven leave Arendelle to travel to an ancient autumn-bound forest of an enchanted land. They set out to find the origin of Elsa's power in order to save their kingdom. The animation, it looks spectacular. What more can I say? I love these 5 main characters, and it's nice to see them again, especially Anna and Elsa. Despite being sisters, they barely spent any time with each other in the original film. Seeing how their relationship fleshes out here now that they spend a lot of time together is sweet. Anna is energetic while Elsa is more reserved. It's nice to know everyone is still in character from their original film. Oh, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Oh god, I actually really coughed right there. Let me try again. It's nice to know everyone is still in character from the original. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Now, I praised the ever-living hell out of the music in the first, and I didn't really love the story that much. Here, the roles have reversed. Here's hoping Frozen 3 has an amazing story and amazing songs. It's like they can't do both in this franchise. The music is okay. All the songs are vocally amazing, but they aren't as catchy or memorable as they were in the original. Kristoff's song is very catchy and hilarious. Olaf's song is, there. He's not really funny in this one at all. Anna's depressing song isn't a banger, but I love that she gets a solo song. But the true showstopper is Show Yourself. I am going to say this without any regrets. Show Yourself is the best song in the Frozen franchise. Can we stop normalizing that Into the Unknown is the best song in this movie? Show Yourself truly put Idina Menzel's voice to the test. Not only does it expand on the plot, but it's a powerful performance where she gives it everything she has. Give this a listen when you have a chance, or don't. Just don't and miss out, but trust me, it's peak. This story is more interesting than the one in the original, but it's handled somewhat poorly. I heard that this movie had a rushed production, and it shows. It really shows. Characters like Kristoff are now doing the lame find the right time to propose trope, but it's not the rescuer, so I'll take it. But he's absent for the whole middle act of the movie until he randomly appears in the end. The story sometimes feels convoluted, but I do like the ideas in this one more. For the longest time, I could never figure out which Frozen I like more, and now I can finally answer the question. Which Frozen is the best? Obviously Frozen, from 2010.
What I found. Remember the swamp? Remember my song in the swamp?
Raya and the Last Dragon is actually one of the Disney movies I had never seen before. Long ago in the fantasy world of Kamandra, humans and dragons lived together in harmony. However, when sinister monsters known as the Droon threatened the land, the dragons sacrificed themselves to save humanity. I said humidity. God, I'm so ready for this video to be done. The dragons sacrificed themselves to save humanity. Now 500 years later, those same monsters have returned, and it's up to a lone warrior and a dragon to stop the Droon for good. There's some really good ideas in here. The land of Kamandra is fully realized. On the map it's shaped like a dragon, and each of these tribes live in body parts of that dragon. The lands are fang, heart, tail, talon, and spine. This is a really cool concept, how a different set of people live in these different areas. The animation of all the lands look incredible, no shock there. What's even better is the side characters Raya and Sisu befriend alongside the way. There's this energetic boy who can cook good dishes, a baby who is a really good thief, and Tong. He's just chill. It's insane how these three characters are better than the two main characters of this movie. Let's start with Sisu. Sisu is played by Awkwafina. She is such a hit or miss actress with me. She's really talented, but sometimes she can be very frustrating. Sisu is a very energetic dragon who has funny moments, but there's a lot of times where her dialogue just drags, and the more she talks, the lamer the joke gets.
Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much?
Shut up!
Still
Shut the fuck up! Literally!
Raya is a badass sword fighter who has a big trust issue. That's really it. So if you didn't know, she's a Disney princess. She is officially in the lineup of Disney princesses. And honestly, she's not bland like Snow White, but she isn't all that interesting like Moana. Although she does have a trait that no other Disney princess has, telling jokes you would hear in the MCU.
I have something to say.
Who's hungry? Hey there, Princess Undercut.
Why are you stealing gem pieces?
Oh, I'm just trying to get a matching set.
The big lesson is about trust, and it's a great idea. Not a lot of kids' movies really dive into trusting people. I commend them for finally doing something new, but it's done so poorly here. Okay, so there's an artifact Raya isn't supposed to show anyone. When all the tribes meet, she befriends a girl for 2 hours. She shows her the gem and gets betrayed and gets mad because she trusted her, and she thought that they were friends. But like, Ray Charles, you've only known each other for 2 hours. Then when they are older, Sisu keeps talking about how she should just trust her, but throughout the movie the villain keeps doing her wrong, and Sisu keeps insisting that she should trust her. Like, no, that's not how it works. If I kept throwing you in the water after you kept putting your trust in me, are you still gonna try and be my friend? Stupid Ray. Despite its mixed lessons, it's an entertaining movie for the most part. It's a very weak princess movie and overall just okay, and of course it looks good, blah blah blah. Like, okay, are we almost done yet? Jeez. I did a review on Encanto on my early days on my channel. If you go back and watch it, it's a very mid review. But now that I've grown better at this and voicing my opinions, I can finally go into depth as to why Encanto is a Disney classic. The Magic Girls are an extraordinary family who live hidden in the mountains of Colombia in a charmed place called the Encanto. The magic of the Encanto has blessed every child in this family with a unique gift. Everyone except Mirabelle. However, she soon may be the Magic Girl's last hope when she discovers that the magic surrounding the Encanto is now in danger. The characters. There are way too many characters in this movie. Way too many. And holy shit, they are all so memorable. You got the upbeat Mirabelle who you journey with throughout the film, the strong Lisa, the self-centered Isabella who has flower powers, Camila who can turn into anyone, Abuela the stern figure, Pepe can control the weather, Dolores can hear you from a whisper at far away, Antonio is a kid who can speak to animals, and of course the misunderstood Bruno, played by Sid the Sloth. That is a lot of characters, and yet they are all still memorable to this day. You really get the feeling that they are a family so close to each other. all except Mirabel, who doesn't have a gift or power. Mirabel is one of the best Disney protagonists of all time. She has that perfect mixture of determined and energetic, where it isn't too serious where it's boring and not too energetic where it's annoying. Following her on this long journey where she must fix the family from breaking and save everyone's gifts is riveting. It's a quest filled with dangerous turns, unexpected plot twists, and life-changing moments. Sounds intense. But what I love is that the movie takes place in one location, the Madrigal House. All that exciting stuff I just said takes place in this big house. No adventure to another city, no portals to another dimension. It's all in one setting for 85% of the movie, and it's intriguing always, always, always. Some of the hardest movies to make are those that take place in one location because the audience can get bored with the setting fast. But Encanto isn't like those movies. It's never boring and never has a dull moment.
We've got every generation, so full of music, a rhythm of its own design.
The music, oh my god, the music is good, that I even made a ranking of all the songs in the past. Every single number is stellar. Family Madrigal introduced us to the family in a fast-paced way, but it never feels too quick. Waiting on a Miracle is the best Disney I Want song since Part of That World. Surface Pressure really resonates with anyone who's an older sibling, and I of course relate to it. We Don't Talk About Bruno is a showstopper, an absolute upbeat melody that has all the characters singing. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to sing everyone's part at the dinner table. The final song is it's okay, but even then every song feels like a showstopper, every last one, and each song's visuals excel here. It's so vibrant, whimsical, fast-paced, and fun. And another great thing is there's no villain. They set up a plot twist villain, but the way they go with it and get rid of the idea is so clever. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but my god, you need to watch this film if you haven't. Encanto is a magical film with some of Disney's best songs to date. The characters are top-notch, and without a doubt, a top-tier Disney movie.
I think they're all very relatable. You know, this world we live in today is a pretty strange world too.
Jabuki, who is Splat, and what makes it such a cool character?
Splat is,
Strange World is one of Disney's box office bombs. It's about the Clades, a family of explorers who stumble into a strange world, if you will.
Who is Splat, and what makes it such a cool character?
The movie's strange setting is without a doubt one of the most beautiful Disney has ever come up with. The designs of the creatures, the terrains, the landscapes, and so on look outstanding, and it's a visual treat that I wish I could have caught in 3D when this movie came out. The world building is just phenomenal. I was eager waiting to see what the new crazy thing would pop up next. It keeps the movie intriguing, something I can't say about the plot or characters. The Clade family are well-known explorers. You got Jaeger Clade, a legendary explorer, then his son Searcher, who's more of a farmer kind of guy, and then Searcher's son Ethan, the 21st Disney gay character who wants to be an explorer. It creates this neat and tight dynamic between the three characters when they argue or agree with each other due to all of them having different outlooks on stuff. The character dilemmas are executed great, and while it's not Disney's best attempts at a father and son film, it's passable. But this might be one of the least funniest Disney movies I've watched in years. Splat the new merchandise has its moments, but so much of the attempted comedy falls flat besides some visual gags. The world is really nice to look at. I love that they built this really strange world.
Who is Splat, and what makes
But overall, the film is just generic and bland. I think my favorite thing about this movie is that when me and my friend Joey went to go see this, it's still a meme to us. We still talk about this movie like it's the greatest thing ever, when in reality we just think it's bad. It's a nice meme in our friendship. We've reached the final movie of our segment, and I have something very disappointing to say. I was originally going to go see Wish again and do a re-review of it, but I just haven't had a lot of time because I've been making this video and working, of course. I'm going to replay my review of Wish I made last month, but just a disclaimer, I talk about it like it's a very good movie, but after thinking about it for a while and a whole month, I just think it's okay, like a 6 out of 10. At the end of the video, I gave it a 6.8, but I've thought about some few things, how the songs weren't really that great as I thought they were, so yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm about to say is very outdated. Alright, let's start this thing and get this over with. Wish is Disney's latest animated movie to commemorate 100 years of their studio. It's honestly crazy to think that Disney has brought us so many classics through the years. Is this movie up there with The Lion King, or is it mid like Strange World? Well, I'll just say it's a lot better than Home on the Range. Wish is the story about a young girl named Asha who wishes on a star and gets a more direct answer than she bargained for when a troublemaking star comes down from the sky to join her. Now she must team up with the star and her talking goat to give back the wishes to the citizens of her town that they have given to King Magnifico. Already, this is probably one of the most intriguing storylines put in a Disney movie. My biggest gripe with this movie is that, well, with such an interesting premise like this, most of it feels wasted. While the premise of the wishes are great, the overall story isn't truly anything to latch onto, because within the premise it feels derivative like your standard Disney movie. That's not to say that there are no good things about the story though. The biggest praise I can give this is whenever they talk about wishes. Learning that people's wishes can be vague and not easy to wish for, or the fact that people's wishes don't need to be granted by someone else if they believe in them hard enough, is such a fascinating lesson. It causes this to be highly thought-provoking. Literally every time they talk about the morality of wishing upon stars and which wishes can be granted is easily the best part of the movie.
The wishes you're not going to grant, you could just give them back. Then, I don't know, the people can try to pursue them themselves?
You've completely missed the point. People come here because they know they can't make their own dreams come true. The journey is too hard, it is too unfair. They give their wishes to me, willingly, and I make it so they forget their worries.
You make it so they forget the most beautiful part of themselves.
If the story was a derivative from old Disney movie cliches, then I really think I could rate this higher than the score I'm gonna give it. But the idea about the wishes really saved most of the cliche element. I get what Disney was going for here. They're trying to celebrate their 100 years of magic, and honestly, some of the Easter eggs about other Disney movies thrown in here are cute. Like the end credit scenes do something for their movie catalog that I won't spoil, but can we please stop having the talking animal sidekick or animal sidekicks in general? It's kinda getting old, but that star was adorable. There's actually a huge twist that I did not see coming from a Disney movie. There is no twist villain. That's the twist. Absolutely crazy. Chris Pine shines as King Magnifico and delivers a menacing and hilarious villain who is very sly, and honestly one of Disney's best villains in a while. The music in the movie is good. Encanto had me looking up the soundtrack as soon as I left the theater, and while this movie won't have me doing that, all the songs are good, but there's two songs that are absolute showstoppers. You'll know what they are when you get to them. The animation and the cinematography for every musical number is absolutely stunning. Overall, Wish is just a solid movie. It had a lot of potential that was wasted, however, but the whole Wish thing they bring to the table is outstanding, and the villain and heroine are both entertaining. The animation is cartoony and a different style from what they are used to, and it helps keep things a little fresh. Despite the story falling flat, this is a decent Disney movie to celebrate 100 years. Honestly, a very solid era. I'm not sure if Wish is the final movie of this era, but if not, I hope this era in the studio does end up with a bang instead of a movie that's just kinda okay. But this was definitely not a bad lineup of films. The princess movies were either great or just okay. Disney's biggest franchise was here. Winnie the Pooh was underrated and I'll defend it until I die. The animation on the CGI in all these films hold up extremely well. We even got a great video game movie, and you know, the sequels were, sequels. Yeah, their recent films haven't been hitting us hard, but as a whole, this is a very solid stage in Disney Studios' lifespan. Now that it's almost time to rank all 56 Disney movies, watching these from the very beginning to the end, I realized that, most of these movies may not be amazing, but they are certainly good. But the best thing about these movies are, a lot of them feel very magical. Disney kinda sucks today, I think we all know this, but going back and looking at the time where Disney wasn't just all about money was a real treat to me. Now all there's left to do is rank all these movies from worst to best. Thank you all so much for watching, and here it is, every single Disney animation studio film ranked.